What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4DF Chapter 91 I want to smash Uchiha Madara, please subscribe. This was the first time the two met in private after the last missed shinobi ninja killing incident. The location was chosen by Uchiha Obito, very secretive, and he came alone, without bringing the white Zetsu over. The location is nowhere else, it is the front line of the battlefield of Konoha and Rock Shinobi. It is very dangerous, but it is safe for Uchiha Obito, because here, it can effectively reduce the possibility of white Zetsu stalking him. When Shi Shangyang came here, Uchiha Obito was already at the meeting place. The place where the two met was in a dense forest surrounded by huge trees, so it was very concealed. "You're late," Uchiha Obito said. He stood on a tree branch and looked down at Shi Shangyang who appeared. Shi Shangyang looked around for a week and then said, "Why do you remember to contact me at this time?" Uchiha Obito pretended to be somber. He scratched his head and sat down on the 873, and said, "That old guy is about to die." Shi Shangyang was startled for a moment, and then he thought for a while, compared with the timeline in the original plot, and felt that Uchiha Madara's death seemed to have happened during this period. In this way, Uchiha Madara should have told Uchiha some plans. Obito is out. Thinking this way, Shi Shangyang said, "Tell me about it." 35. Uchiha Obito leaned his back against the tree trunk and rested his arms on his back, looking very relaxed. "That old guy is indeed Uchiha Madara, I have confirmed that, and he also told me a lot of the secrets of the ninja world in the past. By the way, you will never think of it. What the old guy wants to do." When he said this, Uchiha Obito still looked mysterious. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly and said, "Did he tell you that he wants permanent peace in the ninja world?" Uchiha Obito was stunned and subconsciously asked, "How do you know?" Shi Shangyang chuckled. "It's not hard to guess that the one who has been hiding in the shadows of the ninja world for so long. After the death of first Hokage Senju Hashirama, it stands to reason that no one in the whole ninja world is his opponent. If he has ambitions, he can completely subdue any ninja village with his strength and achieve the feat of conquering the entire ninja world. But he did not do so he must have a bigger plan. Then think about it from another perspective. Since there is no ambition to conquer the ninja world, then there must be a larger and unrealistic fantasy. Advertisement, is that so?" Uchiha Obito didn't understand, but he didn't realize it, but he didn't think much about it, and then he said, "You're right, that old guy really thinks so. He wants peace in the ninja world. And how will he make peace in the ninja world? Told me how." As he spoke, he explained about infinite Tsukuyomi and the conditions for its activation. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly after hearing this, and then frowned. "Then do you believe what he said?" He had to understand this point, otherwise it would be very troublesome in the follow-up. Shi Shangyang had to make sure that Uchiha Obito was controllable. I don't believe it. If that guy can really do it, it can only mean that peace only exists in dreams." Uchiha Obito pun. After all, for Uchiha Obito, Rin is not dead, so he naturally does not need to create a world with Rin. So Uchiha Obito is even less likely to believe in infinite Tsukuyomi. "It's good for you to think this way, and I don't believe it either," Shi Shangyang said. Uchiha Obito looks very relaxed, without the kind of bitterness and hatred in the original plot. Even though he has experienced so much pain, he still maintains his nature and smiled. "So, that guy will definitely fail, but there is an important piece of information that I need to make clear with you first." "What information?" Shi Shangyang asked. "Do you know Rinnegan?" Uchiha Obito asked. Shi Shangyang pretended to be surprised and said, "The fairy's eye in the legendary sage of six paths?" 55. "That's right, that Rinnegan." Uchiha Obito's face turned solemn, and he said solemnly, "That old guy owns Rinnegan, and a long time ago, he gave his Rinnegan to a boy from the land of rain. It seems that the boy has a special bloodline. Oh yes, it seems it is the bloodline of the Vortex clan, capable of carrying the power of his eyes." 5. Shi Shangyang knew in his heart that it was Nagato. Nagato at this time should have grown up long ago. "Sure enough," Uchiha Obito said again, "he asked me to contact the guy named Nagato, guide him through pain, and realize the cruelty of the ninja world." Advertisement. Speaking of which, Uchiha Obito sneered, as if echoing his previous experience. "Is it this way again? It seems that Uchiha Madara has high expectations for the Nagato person. This is completely using the means used on you to shape the Nagato's cognition of the ninja world, thereby cultivating a hatred. All the people come out. I have to say, this method is really effective." Uchiha Obito pouted, then said, "Then what are you going to do? It's impossible that I really have to follow the old method of Uchiha Madara, right? How can someone who has Rinnegan be weak? Will be our enemy." Shi Shangyang smiled and said, "Do it. Why not do it? Just follow Uchiha Madara's method, but I will sabotage your actions in the dark." I have to say that Uchiha Obito, who has experienced pain, now understands his thinking and understands Shi Shangyang's thoughts at once. "You mean, secretly fight against me, and then go and guide the Nagato?" Shi Shangyang nodded. "I do have this plan. People with Rinnegan's power should not become an existence that destroys the ninja world. Instead, this existence should become a force that truly brings peace to the ninja world." Uchiha Obito nodded. "You have an idea and a plan, but can you really make the ninja world peaceful?" Shi Shangyang smiled but was very serious in his heart. because he knew that Uchiha Obito's seemingly casual question was actually a test for himself, and if the answer did not satisfy Uchiha Obito, the result would likely be worse. Of course, you don't have to doubt this, if it is only in terms of strength, I am not weaker than the current Uchiha Madara, and we are younger than him. This is our advantage, believe me, as long as our beliefs remain the same. After accumulating enough power, the current ninja world will be subverted by my 3.0s. 5. Uchiha Obito stared at Shi Shangyang, then smiled. You guy, this is the first time I've seen such a serious expression on your face. Shi Shangyang curled his lips. In order to strengthen your confidence, I will personally meet Uchiha Madara. What? Uchiha Obito was surprised. In this way, didn't you expose yourself? Shi Shangyang chuckled. I was already under the observation of Uchiha Madara. I knew about Uchiha Madara earlier than you, so what are you worried about? He did have plans to meet Uchiha Madara. In fact, he had already had this idea, but before that he knew very well that his strength was not enough, but now he has this condition. So Uchiha Madara is so fat one of the sheep is really unreasonable if you don't go for a handful. Chapter 92 Uchiha Shisui, please subscribe. Shi Shangyang is naturally clear about the abilities of Uchiha Madara, but even if he knows the original plot, Shi Shangyang is not sure. What Uchiha Madara showed in the original plot is all his abilities. The ghost knows if there are other things in him. No ability to manifest. In this case, the elderly Madara is the most suitable state to take a hand, and Shi Shangyang naturally does not intend to miss it. Rinnegan, Yin-Yang Dun, Izanagi, Impure World Reincarnation, Wood Style, and Infinite Tsukuyomi. With so many abilities, Shi Shangyang felt that picking up Uchiha Madara's wool would be like opening a treasure chest, and opening that ability would be a big profit. Uchiha Obito didn't know about Shi Shangyang's wonderful mental activity, and after listening to his words, he shouted. Then don't die. Uchiha Madara is about to die of old age, but with Geto statue providing chakra, he must still be alive before he dies. He has the power to fight. Anyway, every time I see him, I can't help but feel a little palpitated. That guy is definitely not strong like that. Shi Shangyang believed in this. For an existence like Uchiha Madara, even if the old man only had his last breath, as long as this breath was still there, then his fighting power would not be so weak. 14 So how to meet him, and when to meet, should be well controlled for Shi Shangyang. He is going to scour the wool. It is best to kill Uchiha Madara by the way, and it will not be a loss for him if he does not die. Behind the scenes, it is impossible to jump to the front of the stage in a short time. By the way, Rin, how's it going? Uchiha Obito asked. It could be seen that he had been holding back this question for a long time, and at this time he finally couldn't help but ask it. Shi Shangyang saw it long ago, and said, don't worry, she is in good condition now and her body is recovering, but for the time being, you should not meet her for now. 39. Uchiha Obito breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the words, nodded and said, I understand, I will go to see Uchiha Madara after she dies of old age. If it is now, it is still a little dangerous. Advertisement. Well, there will be a chance at that time. In addition, you can find a time recently. Stay away from Uchiha Madara. I will go and meet him. After that he is likely to die. You have to find out about him in advance. A series of plans. It is better to have a preparation in advance. Shi Shangyang said. Speaking of the formality, Uchiha Obito looked a lot more serious, squeezed his fists and said, my current body can't withstand too intense fighting, and my body has not been fully repaired, so if you want to fight Uchiha, I definitely can't do anything about it. To help you, you can only be careful when the time comes. Shi Shangyang just chuckled. You don't need to worry about this, you just need to ensure your own safety. Uchiha Obito's current body was repaired with white Zetsu cells. The same is true for his right arm and right leg. After more than half a month, he only has the ability to move. The state of the fight will obviously take some time, which Shi Shangyang is very clear about. Uchiha Obito snorted, then got up and was about to leave, saying before leaving, I will find a chance to inform you. You be asterisk 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 D. Don't die then. After speaking, he stopped talking nonsense and left immediately. The conversation between the two was considered to be an exchange of information. Uchiha Obito is obviously very talented as a spy. After seeing this, Shi Shangyang was relieved a lot of this guy. At least this guy learned to use his brain and didn't look like him anymore. It's as simple as it used to be. Sure enough, the environment can still train a person. With an inexplicable smile, Shi Shangyang thinks that the current Uchiha Obito is very interesting, and he has a feeling of witnessing his growth. After that, Shi Shangyang disappeared in an instant, and directly launched the Flying Thunder God technique to go to the periphery of the Konoha base. They have already arrived here. It would be a waste not to look. Anyway, for ninjas, obtaining information is not anytime is very important. The war between Rock Shinobi and Konoha is still almost at a stalemate. The Kanabi Bridge has not been bombed. Because of what happened last time, Rock Shinobi has strengthened the defense over there, not to mention unbreakable, but the general raid is still true, there's no way to destroy it. The main reason is that Namikaze Minato, who can perform this kind of mission, is not in the base, or is not on the front here. He has been transferred to support the front of Cloud Shinobi. Recently, Cloud Shinobi has been doing a lot of actions. There is also an urgent need for a ninja who can act as a deterrent and see the past. This is also thanks to Namikaze Minato. If it is another ninja, this way of rushing on both sides can easily drag a person down. Advertisement Hitaki Kakashi is also not in the base here, and his whereabouts are unknown. Shi Shangyang did not detect it, but there are more Uchiha ninjas in the base here, which surprised Shi Shangyang a little, and some of them he has seen, such as Uchiha Mato. Apparently these guys were transferred from the Sand Shinobi front. What surprised Shi Shangyang the most was that among these Uchihas, he saw a boy younger than him, about 7 or 8 years old, with short and capable hair, dressed in ordinary clothes, and with the iconic Uchiha group fan emblem on his back, standing in the middle of a group of adults is very conspicuous. In Shi Shangyang's memory, there is a memory about this young man, whom he met at the ninja school, 3 years younger than him and Uchiha Obito, but he is also known as a genius, named Uchiha Shisui. It was him. Shi Shangyang was very surprised to see U-873 Zebo Shisui here, because this person appeared too few times in the original plot, and every time he appeared in the memory killing, the timeline was very unclear, so it is also difficult for Shi Shangyang to determine how old Uchiha Shisui is. However, the chance of the original body will not go wrong. It seems that Uchiha Shisui is indeed younger than Uchiha Obito. Appearing on the battlefield at this age is enough to show his talent. Interesting. Shi Shangyang immediately became interested. In the original plot, Uchiha Shisui can be said to be a downright tragic character. He is too kind and simple, and he has two extremes from Uchiha Obito after Blacken. It is a pity that he died too early, otherwise the fate of the Uchiha family will never be the same as the original. Having said that, if Uchiha Shisui in his heyday had a fight with Uchiha Obito, who would win? Shi Shangyang became curious. Seeing Uchiha Shisui leaving the Konoha base with a team, Shi Shangyang immediately followed. He wanted to see how Uchiha Shisui's combat power was at this period. What is Konoha's attitude? Shi Shangyang doesn't mind doing something if he can. Chapter 93 Save Shisui, please subscribe. Now Rock Shinobi and Konoha are in a stalemate. The battles between the two sides are often raids and encounters between teams, and there is no decisive battle. Therefore, the tasks carried out by this outgoing team are also patrolling as usual. The squad is a standard quartet, and Uchiha Shisui, the youngest of the quartet, feels professional. He is indeed a professional, regardless of his young age. He is still a genin, but he is very sophisticated in every move. He does not have the nervousness and amateurishness of a normal genin at all. To a certain extent, the ability he shows is inferior to that of a normal chunin. Not too much, the only disadvantage is that it is too young. Logically speaking, such a talented young man, the Uchiha family should be very precious, but now he is allowed to enter such a dangerous battlefield. Shi Shangyang has no idea why. The only guess is that the problem only arises in the high-level Konoha, such as Shimura Danzo and the like. It is obvious that Uchiha was targeted by Konoha, so in this case, Uchiha sent a young genius to the battlefield. Would it be an attitude to show his determination to the village? Shi Shangyang doesn't know for the time being, but he doesn't mind guessing Konoha with the worst idea. Anyway, in his heart, Konoha is really not that good. Travelers have a good impression of Konoha. The protagonist's halo is just incidental. Anyway, this thing is not easy to use here in Shi Shangyang. The 4-man squad has a mission route and patrols along the mission route. There are no accidents for more than half an hour, but it is also very common to encounter enemies on the front line, so when the 4-man squad encounters a Sand Shinobi ninja squad, Shi Shangyang also felt normal. The outbreak of the battle between the two sides was very sudden, and the Rock Shinobi side was the first to attack, because the direction of the Konoha 4-person team at this time was already close to the side of the Rock Shinobi control area, which was the most dangerous section of the entire front line. Another point is that from Shi Shangyang's point of view, the 4 members of Rock Shinobi are obviously stronger than the 4 of Konoha, because there are 2 Jonin in the Rock Shinobi team, and there is only 1 Jonin in Konoha. From the beginning of the battle, the 4 Konoha were attacked violently and felt enormous pressure, especially the youngest Uchiha Shisui, who seemed to be even more dangerous. This is the battlefield, and the 4 Konoha are also a temporary team. The tacit understanding between each other is not sufficient, so they are more acting according to the ninja instinct, that is, they try their best to kill the enemy, and it is best to save their companions, but they cannot save them. If so, there is no way. In this case, among the 4 Konoha, casualties soon appeared, and the first to be killed was not the youngest Uchiha Shisui, and I don't know what the Rock Shinobi side thought. Obviously a ninja of this age is the best hunting target, but the guy who fought Uchiha Shisui fought with a teasing mentality and deliberately kept his hand, obviously intending to torture him later. After the downsizing, the pressure on the Konoha team is even greater. After all, it has become 4 against 3, and the individual strength is weaker than the opponent, and it is only a matter of time before the defeat. Shi Shangyang watched silently in the dark, and had no plans to do anything. The life and death of Konoha Shinobi had nothing to do with him, which was doomed from the moment he betrayed Konoha. Advertisement on the other hand, Uchiha Shisui, who he paid attention to, even though he knew that the final result was likely to be death, he still had no intention of giving up in this situation. He fought with all his strength, and the potential shown was indeed excellent enough. Almost to the extent of Chunin. With the passage of time, the other 2 Konoha Shinobi were beheaded successively, and the losses to the Rock Shinobi team were nothing but scars on their respective opponents. Now, the entire Konoha team is only left Uchiha Shisui alone. Konoha is really strong. I didn't expect that a kid I would meet casually would be a genius at this level, said a rock shinobi ninja. Another person said, after all, it is Uchiha, bringing this little devil back. Our mission this time is a big gain. His eyes are really intoxicating. Bring him back. We rock shinobi can also have Uchiha bloodline, ha ha ha. Several people chatted and laughed wantonly, besieging Uchiha Shisui in the middle, with a cat and mouse mentality. Uchiha Shisui's face was sullen, his little face looked very serious, he clenched the short blade, a hint of firmness flashed on his face, and then he suddenly raised the knife and slashed towards his neck. He knew exactly what would happen if he fell into the hands of rock shinobi, and he would rather die than suffer. But someone is faster than him. When, a rock shinobi ninja suddenly appeared beside Uchiha Shisui, grabbed the short blade with a kunai, then grabbed his neck with one hand, picked him up, and threw him to the ground. Boom! Uchiha Shisui opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, and he was seriously injured by this blow. Hey, don't put such a heavy hand, but don't kill yourself, another advised. Don't worry, I have a measured first move, just to make this kid lose his mobility, the man said. Advertisement, let's go, don't waste time here, it is estimated that someone from Konoha will come over soon, the leader of the rock shinobi team said. Hearing the words, the man who started picked up Uchiha Shisui directly, and then the others turned around and prepared to leave. The next moment, the captain suddenly threw a kunai in one direction. Call out. Who's there? Come out, the captain shouted softly. The remaining three immediately formed a formation to respond, appearing to be very vigilant. Uchiha Shisui's sinking heart lifted a little, he tried to raise his head and looked expectantly in that direction. A figure came out of the dark, wearing a mask with only one pair of eyes exposed, and a kabuto hat robe with a purple background and a daisy pattern on his body, which looked very mysterious. Kill, Qian Zhaohao, him, Captain Rock Shinobi ordered. Saw. Without any hesitation, a rock shinobi ninja rushed towards Shi Shangyang and raised his hand to him with a knife. It was none other than Shi Shangyang. Seeing that his goal was taken away, he naturally wanted to show up at this time. I saw that he didn't make much movement, but his shoulders swayed slightly, and he let go of the knife with his body, and then raised his hand with ease, and a cold light swept across the neck of the person who came. The two passed by, the man staggered forward and took a few steps forward, his hands tightly covering his throat, but he couldn't stop the blood, the red blood gushing out from his fingers. The man a few times, and then it fell to the ground with a thud. Well, it's really lively here, let me watch a good show, but can you put that kid down? If possible, I can spare you. Shi Shangyang chuckled lightly. Chapter 94 Classic Questions and Answers, please subscribe. Shi Shangyang's demeanor looks very relaxed, it's not like he's going to fight, it's more like he's on an outing. No matter how he walks in the courtyard, he can't see the slightest sense of tension in him, but what he does makes the rest rock shinobi ninjas were shocked. Damn, who are you? One asked. While speaking, the man couldn't help but take a step back, obviously Shi Shangyang's performance brought him a lot of pressure. I'm just a passerby, don't take it too seriously. Shi Shangyang waved his hand, he was smiling, but unfortunately others couldn't see it. Kill him. The captain spoke up and the words fell, and the captain and another ninja rushed towards Shi Shangyang together. One person formed a seal while running, and then stepped down, the ground cracked, and a few small stones suddenly flew up and shot towards Shi Shangyang. Earth-style arrow stone technique. Those stones rose up against the wind, but it was just an instant of effort, and they turned from small stones into stones the size of a wash basin, rushing towards Shi Shangyang at a terrifying speed, and no. The other person also formed the seal at the same time, and then slapped the ground with both hands. Earth-style cracking rock technique. Then I saw the ground 873 under Shi Shangyang's feet, and it suddenly cracked open. The crack appeared suddenly and spread directly to the foot of Shi Shangyang. Seeing that Shi Shangyang was about to fall into the crack, Shi Shangyang's body was abruptly still. In the same place, the crack on the ground was like turning back time, and it healed in a blink of an eye. What? Captain Rock Shinobi, who performed this technique, was shocked. He couldn't see what kind of ninjutsu the opponent used to cause such a result, and a deep sense of unease suddenly rose in his heart. The next moment, Shi Shangyang's figure suddenly disappeared, and immediately appeared in front of another person. Those flying stones did not play the role of any attack at all, and they were already in vain. K. The man only had time to exclaim, and then went in and widened his eyes, because at some point in his throat, there was an extra handle of kuwu, and the blood flowed out along kuwu. The man wanted to pull kuwu out, but he was afraid of hemorrhaging and dying. His body suddenly stiffened, but soon his whole body lost the strength to fall down. Shi Shangyang did not care about the rock shinobi captain, but walked step by step towards the rock shinobi ninja carrying Uchiha Shisui. You, don't come here. That rock shinobi ninja was very panicked. As long as they are not blind, beta, they can see this situation. The people who come here are very scary. I am afraid that with their team's ability, they can't compete with them at all. It's just two face-to-face skills. Two companions died on his side, which will not make people feel happy in any fit. Be careful. 35 The one who made this cry was Uchiha Shisui, who was being carried, because he saw that Captain Rock Shinobi was holding a ninja sword and slashing behind Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang still didn't do anything else, just walked quietly towards Uchiha Shisui. Seeing this, the rock shinobi ninja carrying Uchiha Shisui raised the corners of his mouth unconsciously, because he felt that the guy in front of him would be killed in the next second. Advertisement, but at the next moment, the smile froze on his face. Seeing that an arm suddenly sprang out from behind Shi Shangyang, accompanied by a crackling sound, it directly pierced the attacking Captain Rock Shinobi's chest. Puff. Blood spurts. Puff. The arm was withdrawn, and in the palm, a bright red heart was stirring up and down. Captain Rock Shinobi lowered his head in a daze, saw his empty chest, and then fell to the ground as soon as his legs became weak, and he lost all sound in an instant. He took a hand, and he didn't even understand how the other party did it. Kakaka. In the clear voice of wanting to move, a leopard-like puppet beast fell from Shi Shangyang's robe. It was not large, only the size of a normal leopard. It had a slender body and powerful limbs. It looked like a special rare beast. This is one of Shi Shangyang's trophies, one of the few fine puppets, named Black Hand Beast. In an instant, the situation on the field has reversed. You don't come here. The last person held a kunai and put it on Uchiha Shisui's neck, his face full of horror. Let's go, I won't kill you, but you have to keep this boy, Shi Shangyang said. The man was startled for a moment, then ecstatic, but at the next moment, he was horrified to find that he could no longer move. Trembling and trying to turn back, he saw the iron sand wrapped around his arm, and 1,000 copies made of iron sand. Puff. Shinbin directly penetrated the man's forehead, killing him instantly. Puff. The man fell to the ground along with Uchiha Shisui. The iron sand scattered, Shi Shangyang patted the head of the black-handed beast. The latter body deformed for a while, and soon it turned into something like inner armor, which went into the robe and stuck to Shi Shangyang. During this process, Shi Shangyang did not stop, came to Uchiha Shisui and looked at him condescendingly. Little devil, can you still stand up? Uchiha Shisui was very tough. Even though he was seriously injured, he still didn't say a word. Hearing the words, he tried to support himself, and then stood up tremblingly. Advertisement, thank you senpai. May I ask who is senpai? Uchiha Shisui said calmly. Shi Shangyang didn't answer the question, but looked into Uchiha Shisui's eyes. Well, because of what happened just now, has Sharingan turned on the double tomo state? Yes, senior. Although Uchiha Shisui replied like this, he could still see that he was somewhat wary. The talent is good. Among the many Uchihas now, your talent is the first, Shi Shangyang said. Senior. Uchiha Shisui was startled because he saw Shi Shangyang's eyes through the mask, especially the Sharingan in the three-tomo state in his eyes. Senior is Uchiha. This time, Uchiha Shisui was really surprised. Shi Shangyang shook his head, then took off the mask, revealing his handsome face. Do you know me? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Shisui stared at Shi Shangyang's face, as if he was recalling something, a little puzzled, but the next moment was a little stunned. Is that senior? Shi Shangyang? Shi Shangyang understood. It seemed that his name was quite famous among the Uchiha clan. He suddenly stretched out his hand and put Kawuja on Uchiha Shisui's neck. Little guy, aren't you afraid that I will kill you? 35. Uchiha Shisui, however, seemed very calm. If senior wanted to kill me, he would have done it just now. 9. Ha ha ha, interesting. Shi Shangyang naturally wouldn't kill him, so he put away Kuwu. Senior saved me, do you want me to do something? Uchiha Shisui is somewhat unexpectedly mature. Shi Shangyang shook his head. I'm here just to ask you a question, Shi Shangyang said. What? Do you love the village more, or do you love the family more? Chapter 95 The Big Fat Sheep Number 2, Subscription Required. What? Uchiha Shisui was startled. Just answer me, Shi Shangyang said. Uchiha Shisui was silent for a while, although he didn't understand why Shi Shangyang asked this question, but combined with his behavior of betraying the village, it was obvious that the answer to this question was related to his life and death, but Uchiha Shisui decided to answer according to his heart's wishes. I love the village more, he said. Shi Shangyang had a clear expression and seemed to be a little regretful. As expected, it's really helpless. If I want to destroy Konoha, what will you do? I will stop the seniors. 99 Shi Shangyang nodded and asked again, what if I want to destroy Uchiha? What will you do? I will still stop the seniors. Shi Shangyang smiled and asked again. Then what if the village wants to destroy Uchiha? Uchiha Shisui fell silent. Is this question difficult to answer minus? Shi Shangyang asked. As he spoke, he said to himself. That's right, choosing one between the village and the family is really a difficult multiple-choice question. One side is the village, the other is the family. It seems to give up either side. Is unacceptable, so do you have an answer? Uchiha Shisui closed his eyes, and this time the silence was a bit long, but Shi Shangyang didn't urge, but stared silently. Not long after, Uchiha Shisui suddenly opened his eyes, and the 2-tomo he had just started turned into a 3-tomo state. Even Shi Shangyang couldn't help being a little surprised by this change. How old is this kid? It's amazing how he can reach the 3-tomo state so easily at this age. What surprised Shi Shangyang even more was a card, a golden card, dropped from Uchiha Shisui. Obviously, his heart was shaking a lot, and this problem caused violent mood swings. Shi Shangyang understood. knowing that Uchiha Shisui's inner emotions were very agitated, otherwise he would not have opened 3 Tomo Sharingan so easily. He naturally received this gold card without any hesitation. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Uchiha Shisui's illusion talent. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by host. Uchiha Shisui's illusion talent has been increased by 5 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha Shisui's illusion talent, can gold card. Isn't this a big win? Uchiha Shisui's illusion talent is worthy of a gold card. Even if he looks at the entire Uchiha family, his illusion talent is top-notch, even compared with those geniuses in Uchiha history. In terms of illusion, Uchiha Shisui's talent it can also be among the best, and the only one that can be compared with it is Uchiha, who created Izanami. With Uchiha Shisui's talent in illusion, Shi Shangyang felt that he had taken a firmer step towards the path of the all-round ninja. I will help Uchiha, Uchiha Shisui said. Shi Shangyang was stunned for a moment, looking very surprised, as if he was a little unsure that Uchiha Shisui would have such an answer. Why? He asked. Uchiha Shisui took a deep breath, with a look of pain and entanglement on his face, and then said, because I don't want to disappoint Itachi-kun. Itachi-kun? Is that the son of the Fugaku patriarch? Shi Shangyang asked. Yes. Uchiha Shisui nodded. Itachi-kun is a genius, his talent is stronger than mine, and he will definitely surpass me in the future to become Uchiha's true guardian. Shi Shangyang did some calculations and found that Uchiha Itachi was indeed born at this point in time. It seems that he should be about 4 years old. According to the situation in the ninja world, if a child of this age is a genius, it must have been revealed long ago. Talented, so it's not surprising to hear Uchiha Shisui say that. You should be answering against your will? Shi Shangyang laughed. Uchiha Shisui I shook my head slightly, remained silent, and did not answer Shi Shangyang's question. Okay, then I'll change the question. Have you found anything wrong with Uchiha now? Although Uchiha Shisui was young, he thought deeply. He immediately understood what Shi Shangyang meant, opened his mouth slightly, and then said, Senior, did you mean the relationship between the village and Uchiha? Yes, you are indeed a genius. Uchiha Shisui shook his head slightly. I don't know, the village seems to be trying to alienate Uchiha. 5. Sharp insight. Shi Shangyang smiled. So, do you want to change all this? Advertisement. I don't know what to do, the village has its own decisions, and I can't interfere with the family. 39. Having said that, Uchiha Shisui finally showed a bit of sadness and looked like a teenager. Katakana middle dot 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 oh. Since neither the village nor the family can be changed, why don't you change your mind? Shi Shangyang asked. What? Uchiha Shisui asked in surprise. Shi Shangyang suddenly picked up Uchiha Shisui, and the two of them instantly appeared at the top of the canopy of a giant tree. Standing here and looking around, the terrain was flat, as if they had stepped on the ground under their feet. The village is small, but the ninja world is huge. If you can't change the village and family, why change the entire ninja world? Wouldn't it be better to create a truly peaceful world? Uchiha Shisui was shocked when he heard the words, and turned his head to look at Shi Shangyang in disbelief. At this moment, he seemed to understand Shi Shangyang somewhat. Shi Shangyang took another golden card from his feet indifferently, but his heart was bursting with laughter. This doll also seems to be a big fat sheep. It doesn't feel much worse than Uchiha Obito. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Uchiha Shisui's ninja talent. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card. Uchiha Shisui's ninja talent has been increased by 5 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha Shisui's ninja talent, can gold card. This. It won't be a repeat, will it? Shi Shangyang was slightly puzzled, but soon understood the same reason. Talent is a very general gift, but in the system, it can subdivide talents, which Shi Shangyang can understand. Uchiha Shisui's illusion talent and ninja talent seem to be the same thing, but really speaking of which, it is indeed 2 talents. This is like Hitaki Kakashi's ninja talent and his Yuki talent, not the same thing. All in all, Shi Shangyang is very satisfied with such a harvest. Senior, do you want to change the entire ninja world? Uchiha Shisui asked subconsciously. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly and looked ahead. The village is still too small, the conflict between shinobi and shinobi has caused wars in the shinobi world again and again, and if this continues between the village and Uchiha, why not? Is it another kind of war? Instead of being entangled between the village and the family, why not just jump out of this circle and focus on the bigger world? To change the entire ninja world, in my opinion, is easier than changing the village and family. At least when I do this, I won't be constrained by the village and Uchiha. Chapter 96 Susanoo of Shi Shangyang, please subscribe. Shi Shangyang seems to be stating a fact, but the shock to Uchiha Shisui is not small, otherwise, another gold card would not have been released just now, and now he stared blankly at Shi Shangyang. There is an inexplicable meaning in the eyes. Shi Shangyang pointed in the direction of Konoha, with a strange smile on the corner of his mouth. Konoha was founded by people. Before Konoha, the ninja world was a battle between ninjas and ninjas, but now it's replaced by the essence of the war between Ninja Village and Ninja Village has not changed. On the contrary, because of the establishment of Ninja Village, the scale of the original battle has increased, and the damage caused by the war has become more severe than before. I think, you should never thought about it like this. 99? Uchiha Shisui opened his mouth, but said nothing. He had never thought about 873 from this perspective, and now that Shi Shangyang was so concerned, he immediately understood that what Shi Shangyang said was indeed true. The establishment of Shinobi Village was a good thing. The power of ordinary people makes everyone have a home. But from this point of view, it is indeed the establishment of the Ninja Village, which increases the destructiveness of the war, so that there have been 3 Ninja World Wars in the entire Ninja world, which has never happened before the establishment of the Ninja Village. No wonder Uchiha Shisui didn't think like this before. First, it's normal for him to be young and not thinking enough. Second, it's a matter of vision. No matter how talented he is, his eyes are always limited to the village and his family. If there is no accident, this will be the case in the future, and this is the limitation of the times. But what Shi Shangyang brings is a vision beyond the times. Even if it is just a simple sentence, it can open a person's horizons, and this is the reality. Uchiha Shisui did not doubt what Shi Shangyang said, just because what Shi Shangyang said was true, but it was because of this that his heart shook even more. So you answer me now, do you want to change all this? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Shisui opened his mouth slightly. Can I? It was obvious that he had already moved. Shi Shangyang chuckled. Why not? Then he stared into Uchiha Shisui's eyes and said, don't forget, you are a genius with Sharingan, and Konoha was only created by Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. What they can do, why can't you do it? Advertisement, this. Uchiha Shisui was a little dazed, and he couldn't understand such a comparison anyway. Do you feel like you can't compare to Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama? Shi Shangyang asked again. Uchiha Shisui nodded. That can only mean that your energy is too small. Before they established Konoha, would they think that they would be able to succeed? I'm afraid they won't be completely sure, right? It's just the situation and luck that made them, so at the feat of establishing Konoha, you must be worse than them. It really doesn't look like it to me. At this moment, Shi Shangyang showed a surprising confidence, and it was very infectious. Little devil, in order to give you a little more confidence, let's show you Uchiha's true power. Shi Shangyang suddenly changed his words. The next moment, Shi Shangyang jumped down from the top of the tree, and when he was in midair, golden chakra rays gushed out from all over his body. Those chakras, like the substance, quickly condensed bones and then muscles outside Shi Shangyang's body. Then came the outer armor. The whole process took less than 2 breaths, and then a golden giant with a height of 100 meters, like a god, appeared in front of Uchiha Shisui. The giant is covered in armor, with a face helmet, and only a pair of red eyes are exposed. Everything is composed of chakra. Its chakra is golden in color and has a noble meaning. Shangyang is in it. See? This is Uchiha's true power, Susanoo, Shi Shangyang said. At this moment, Uchiha Shisui was already dumbfounded. He had never seen such an existence before, and just standing in front of this kind of existence made him feel like his soul was trembling. Is this the power of God? He subconsciously asked. No, this is the power of Uchiha. In other words, it is the power of Sharingan, the ultimate pupil technique above 3 Tomo, the power of Master Mangekyo Sharingan. When the words fell, the brilliant golden Susanoo raised his hand, and the long sword condensed by chakra slashed horizontally in one direction. Boom. Advertisement. The air produced a violent sonic boom, and then a hurricane-like sword energy swept away in that direction, destroying all the huge trees along the way, directly starting from the brilliant golden Susanoo, causing a huge fan-shaped damage area. The earth trembled. After doing all this, Susanoo disappeared, and Shi Shangyang appeared beside Uchiha Shisui from midair with a smile on his face. Uchiha Shisui was so shocked that he was speechless at this time. After all, he was young and lacked in knowledge, but now that he saw this earth-shattering power, he had the most intuitive understanding of the strong. You are one of the most talented Uchihas I have ever seen, and I am sure that you will be able to open the Mangekyo Sharingan before too long. After all, the emotional Uchiha is innately gifted in such things as eye-opening. If you have an advantage, you are in that category, Shi Shangyang said. While speaking, he saw another golden card, which made him even more convinced that the kid in front of him was a real genius. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Uchiha Shisui's pupil power talent, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by host. Uchiha Shisui's pupil power talent has been increased 6 times, and it has been increased to 3.0 power card. Uchiha Shisui's pupil power talent, can gold card. What is this? To be honest, Shi Shangyang was very confused. He didn't expect that the 3 cards he tried so hard to get from Uchiha Shisui were all talent cards, and each one was weirder than the other. He can still understand the first illusion skill card. After all, Uchiha Shisui is famous for illusion, and he can also understand the ninja talent in the 2nd chapter. This guy is a genius himself, but what is the pupil power talent in the 3rd chapter? Wait. Shi Shangyang suddenly thought of something. This thing, won't it be related to Uchiha Shisui's one-eyed Susa in the original plot? Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang suddenly felt that this talent of pupil power seemed to be worthy of the level of the gold card. All in all, it's a profit. Chapter 97, Facing Uchiha Madara, for subscription. Shi Shangyang used this card without hesitation, and then he discovered the magic of this card. He restored a leaf swaying by the wind to 2 seconds ago, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help jumping in an instant. Because the pupil power consumed by Chenju just using the left eye is actually only half of the normal state. This is a full half of the consumption. How can Shi Shangyang not be shocked? The real effect of Zonqing's card is to reduce the consumption of pupil power when activating the pupil technique, and it is an exaggerated reduction of 50%. It's magic, isn't it? No wonder Uchiha Shisui can open Susa with one eye, and Shi Shangyang doesn't sigh about Uchiha Shisui's powerful talent. If he hadn't died so early in the original plot, he probably wouldn't have anything to do with Uchiha Obito. A distinguished heavenly god's past. Uchiha Obito, you have to kneel down and call you brother. Uchiha Shisui had recovered from the shock at this time, took a deep breath and said, Senior, I want to change everything. This can be regarded as an indication of his mentality. Shi Shangyang does not doubt his determination, which can be seen from the original plot. Uchiha Shisui's character is like this. Once he is determined on something, he will be extremely firm. Good 14, then from now on, you are a member of the organization, Shi Shangyang said. Organize? Shi Shangyang nodded. To change the ninja world, you need like-minded people. Just relying on personal bravery can only maintain temporary peace, but it will never let the real peace of the ninja world go on. If you want to change the entire ninja world, we must have companions who share our ideals. 5. Uchiha Shisui's eyes lit up and asked, Is it the organization you founded, Senpai? Shi Shangyang smiled slightly. Of course, with you in the organization now, there are 5 people in total, and I will find more companions to join in later. When the strength is enough, we will completely change the ninja world. Uchiha Shisui was more excited than Shi Shangyang imagined. After all, he was still a teenager. Hearing this kind of thing, he would naturally get emotional. Unfortunately, this time he didn't reveal the card again, which made Shi Shangyang a little disappointed. However, after thinking about it, just from this meeting, 3 gold cards were obtained from this child. This kind of gain is already exaggerated. The name of the organization is Tien, my codename is Tien, and your codename is Magic. Advertisement, Fantasy. 39. Well, I can see your talent in illusion. Looking at the entire history of Uchiha, it is also the top category. The title of illusion represents my expectations for you, can you understand? Uchiha Shisui looked solemn and said with a serious expression, Yes, Senpai, I will not disappoint Senpai. 39. Shi Shangyang patted his shoulder and said with a smile, I'll be here first today. The movement was too big just now, and it's estimated that someone will come over in a while. You can think of a reason to prevaricate it and pay attention to your own safety. This is for you. Remember to hide it well, and send chakra to Kawuli if you need it. In addition, if you keep this scroll, you should be able to learn the things on it. Okay, I'm leaving. I'll find you when I have time. 99. As he said that, he handed Uchiha Shisui a special kunai and a scroll, and then without stopping, he started flying Thunder God technique and disappeared. Uchiha Shisui looked at the special kunai and scroll in his hand, put away the kunai first, and then opened the scroll. His pupils shrank slightly. After the scroll is unfolded, it is impressively the practice method of flying Thunder God technique. This is second Hokage's famous ninjutsu in the ninja world. Uchiha Shisui naturally understands its value. Without reading more, he hurriedly collected the scroll and kuwu, and planned to study it later when he had time. On the other side, Shi Shangyang appeared in a wilderness and immediately hid in the dark. This is nowhere else, it is the hiding place of Uchiha Madara. He had already found out the situation last time, but he did not find the specific entrance. This time, he naturally had to investigate. With the information in the original plot, plus some information after Uchiha Obito communicated with him, it is not difficult to find Uchiha Madara's hiding place, but the difficulty is how not to be discovered in advance, because White Zetsu knows that it is absolutely nearby. There are a lot of White Zetsu hiding among them. After all, it is a nest, and if he is Uchiha Madara, he will definitely focus on defense and hiding. Soon, Shi Shangyang pinpointed a spot, which was a sunken basin with a hidden hole and a huge skeleton of an unknown animal outside the door. That's right, it's here. Shi Shangyang came here, of course, to pick up Uchiha Madara's wool, and to make a fortune before Uchiha Madara died of old age. It is worth a try no matter how you look at it. However, he was not impulsive, but retreated from this area, and after leaving a message to Uchiha Obito somewhere, he hid in the dark again. He is waiting for Uchiha Obito to leave, so that he can go in and meet Uchiha Madara. In terms of time, Uchiha Madara will not live long, even if Gedo statue supplements chakra, but Uchiha Madara's physical skills have already reached the limit. It is estimated that it won't be long after he created Black Zetsu, and he must seize this opportunity. Otherwise, if he wants to pluck wool from Uchiha Madara, he will have to wait for his resurrection. Advertisement time passed while waiting, and in a blink of an eye, 4 days passed. Shi Shangyang waited for 4 days without resting, and it was replaced by the self before the time travel. For 4 days without sleep, he might not have died on the spot, but I have to say that the physical quality of ninjas is different, especially Shi Shangyang at this stage. Not sleeping for a few days is just a little sleepy, nothing else. Finally, he saw Uchiha Obito and another person walking out of the cave. His eyes narrowed slightly. Shi Shangyang could see the person behind 873 Uchiha Obito clearly. Absolutely. With the iconic Nepenthes in its black and white face, Shi Shangyang knows what it means. Black Zetsu has appeared, and Uchiha Madara's life has entered a countdown. On the other side, Uchiha Obito, who had just walked out of the hole, glanced in front of him at will. Then his pupils shrank, his body paused slightly, and Sharingan suddenly saw a stone on the ground. "What's wrong, Obito?" Ju asked. Uchiha Obito continued walking, saying at the same time, "It's nothing, besides, from now on, call me Madara." 5. "Is that so? I know, Madara-sama," Ju replied with a low laugh. "Let's go." Saying that, Uchiha Obito walked away in one direction without looking back, and naturally followed. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled slightly. The message he left to Uchiha Obito, "I believe that guy has seen it," is a message that only Sharingan can decipher, and because of Black Zetsu, Shi Shangyang used his own unique password. Only he and Uchiha Obito knew that it was agreed in advance. Without any hesitation, Shi Shangyang took off all the disguise on his body and showed his original face. He walked out of the dark and walked towards the entrance of the cave. To face Uchiha Madara, smash the wool once. Chapter 98 Madara's first gold card, please subscribe. From the moment he revealed his figure, he felt a faint sense of peeping around him. Obviously, this was the gaze of the white Zetsu hiding in the dark, and it also indicated that he had been exposed. This is exactly the effect he wanted. As for why he didn't hide himself, but chose to appear so carefree, Shi Shangyang naturally thought about it. If it shocks the enemy, letting the opponent have more emotional fluctuations, this is a kind of knowledge. In order to get more wool, Shi Shangyang naturally has to consider everything clearly. Facing Uchiha Madara with a real identity will naturally have a more intuitive feeling than facing with a false identity, so if you do anything else on this basis, the psychological fluctuations will be stronger, which is called in psychology. Shi Shangyang didn't know what to do, but thinking about it from another perspective, Shi Shangyang felt that if such a person appeared in front of him, he would definitely not be very happy. Not long after, Shi Shangyang arrived at the entrance of the cave, and the whole process went smoothly. No white Zetsu came out to stop him. Shi Shangyang was a little surprised, but not surprised. At this time, I want to come to Uchiha Madara to meet him, otherwise the process will not be so smooth. Shi Shangyang continued to move forward and entered the cave. The entrance was a deep cave. Not only was it not narrow, but it was very wide. The terrain extended downward. After walking for about a few minutes, Shi Shangyang saw a wider underground space. This underground space, Shi Shangyang can only describe it as huge. There are more than 10 holes around it, and he doesn't know where it leads. In this huge space, Shi Shangyang saw a huge human-shaped body. It is Gedo statue, sitting cross-legged in this underground space, occupying most of the area, giving people a strong sense of oppression. And under that huge Gedo statue, there is a stone seat. Leaning on it, an old man, half-open eyes, is watching him quietly. Shi Shangyang stopped 10 meters in front of the old man and looked at him carefully. He was wearing a black robe, his face was old, his body was stooped, his hair was gray, and there was a special pipe behind him that was connected to Gedo statue behind him. Weak. This person is none other than Uchiha Madara, the one known as the Uchiha Dance King, who has been hiding behind the scenes for decades. While Shi Shangyang was looking at Uchiha Madara was also watching him. Neither of them spoke, and the atmosphere seemed calm. After a while, Uchiha Madara was the first to break the peace, let out a sigh of relief, and said in a hoarse voice, "I didn't expect that at the last moment of my life, I would be able to meet such an excellent junior like you. It seems that you were very concerned about my existence." Not so surprising advertisement. Shi Shangyang took back his gaze at Gedo statue and smiled slightly at Uchiha Madara. "No surprise, if you check carefully, it's not difficult to find clues. You are really good at hiding, but you can't underestimate others, right?" Uchiha Madara nodded lightly. "Yeah, it's not surprising that anything appears in the ninja world." Shi Shangyang also nodded. "I also want to ask, you don't seem to be very surprised by my arrival?" Uchiha Madara cracked his mouth and smiled. There were few teeth in his mouth. With the old man Madara on his face, he felt like he was about to die in the next second. "Because you are Uchiha." Shi Shangyang was stunned for a moment, then smiled dumbly. "That's right, it's not surprising that Uchiha does anything. Although I don't admit that I am Uchiha, as long as I have Sharingan, I can use the phrase Uchiha to explain everything I do. There's nothing wrong with it." 99. Then he shrugged. "So, do you know what I came here for this time?" Uchiha Madara stood up on his legs, trembling, looking very weak, and said weakly, "You are here to kill me." 35. Shi Shangyang was not surprised, nodded and said, "So, are you ready?" Uchiha Madara is laughing. "You are indeed a genius of the Uchiha family. Even if I am your age, I don't have the same mentality as you. At this point, I, Uchiha Madara, recognize you." "That's an honor." Shi Shangyang smiled inexplicably. Unfortunately, killing a Uchiha genius is really not a happy thing. Uchiha Madara sighed. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang showed a look of surprise. wrapped his arms around his chin and put one hand on his chin, thinking. Well, I'm very confident, let me guess, you still have the strength to fight for the last time, so at the end, it will definitely explode with all of your own power. What makes you have such strong confidence? It must be your own ability and experience. After all, you are an Asura in the ninja world. When dealing with a teenager like me, you must feel that you can easily crush it, right? Uchiha Madara didn't speak, just smiled softly. Shi Shangyang clapped his hands suddenly, as if he was clapping, and smiled as well. Jing, as expected of you, Uchiha Madara, even at this level, you still have this level of self-confidence. You deserve to be able to be with Senju Hashirama fighting man. I still agree with you on this point, but you who only use ordinary Sharingan, is it really okay? Uchiha Madara was in a hand like dead wood, grabbed the sickle and the big fan on the side, walked down the steps of the stone seat tremblingly, and said slowly, I am Uchiha Madara, Uchiha's boy. I am what makes you think that you are capable of being my enemy. This is. Shi Shangyang said, revealing his Sharingan, directly opening to the eternal Mangekyo state, grinning and saying, of course it's these eyes. Uchiha Madara's footsteps paused slightly, and Shi Shangyang's eyes were lost for a moment. Qian Zhaohao. This is. Eternal Mangekyo. At this moment, Uchiha Madara, who has been calm and indifferent for a long time, finally has emotional fluctuations, and Shi Shangyang has been paving the way for so long, and he has been talking to the other party for this moment. No one knows better than Uchiha Madara what the Eternal Mangekyo stands for, which is the basis for promotion to Rinnegan, the supreme pupil technique. So after seeing Shi Shangyang owning the Eternal Mangekyo, the shock naturally caused his mood to fluctuate, and with enough mood swings, the card burst as a matter of an instant. In Shi Shangyang's eyes, he saw a golden card that exploded from Uchiha Madara's body, falling to the ground and hovering slightly. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang's smile became brighter and he put it away without any hesitation. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the fire style experience of Uchiha Madara's ability card. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 99 Rinne Tensai Technique for subscription. Shi Shangyang narrowed his eyes slightly, he felt that he had guessed correctly. Picking up Uchiha Madara's wool was actually like opening a treasure chest. His abilities, with Shi Shangyang's scruples, were probably the most common level of golden cards. This kind of fat sheep is simply full of sense of accomplishment. At the same time, Shi Shangyang also felt that his luck was good. This Uchiha Madara's fire style experience has been increased by 9 times, and it has directly achieved a perfect control state. No matter from which point of view, this is a good start. How is it? Are you surprised? Some can't believe it, Shi Shangyang said with a smile. All he has to do now is to stir up Uchiha Madara's nerves and thereby affect his mood, which was important to Shi Shangyang and was planned from the beginning. He. Uchiha Madara suddenly opened his mouth and laughed, not loud at first, but gradually the laughter became wanton. Okay, it's rare that after me, Uchiha finally appeared a clan with Eternal Mangekyo, such a treasure, I will accept it. Is it Uchiha Madara after all? Shi Shangyang raised his eyebrows, but he didn't expect this guy to react like this, but Shi Shangyang had already prepared enough in his heart to know that this guy is definitely not that easy to arouse his emotions, and his personality is not ordinary the firmness, otherwise it would not have been hidden for decades without showing up. Just when he was thinking this way, the opposite Uchiha Madara moved, and the old body became healthy at an astonishing speed, just like blowing up a balloon. The originally withered body was almost breathing. The kung fu was restored to the prime of life. The next moment, Uchiha Madara violently tore off the tube behind him and sprayed a piece of chakra from the tube, which quickly dissipated until it disappeared. At the same time, Uchiha Madara's originally withered white hair also turned into black hair in an instant, his hunched body became straight, and a terrifying aura burst out from his body, and that momentum affected the spirits of others like a substance. Little devil, are you interested in changing the entire ninja world with me? Uchiha Madara suddenly asked. Shi Shangyang watched the whole process as if he were watching a trick. He was thinking about what kind of trick this was when he heard this sentence, and his expression suddenly became strange. He seems to have said this to others as well. Advertisement. Change the ninja world? Shi Shangyang pretended to be puzzled. Yes, bring eternal peace to the ninja world, Uchiha Madara said. Shi Shangyang suddenly laughed like he heard some funny joke. Ha ha ha, I knew that after seeing these eyes, you will definitely win me over, it's really interesting. The smile on Uchiha Madara's face subsided, and his eyes were fixed on Shi Shangyang, as if he was thinking about the kid in front of him, why he dared to face him with such confidence. But Shi Shangyang suddenly stopped laughing, and then made a seal with his hands. Thank you very much for chatting with me for so long. I thought you would be a very boring person, but I didn't expect you to be a joke old man, and I was laughed at. Thank you. When the words fell, he instantly retreated, and when he was in the air, he opened his mouth and spit out a flame. Fire-style fire extinguishing. In an instant, terrifying flames rushed towards Uchiha Madara like a storm. In the face of Shi Shangyang's sudden attack, Uchiha Madara didn't pay much attention to it. After all, he is a man who can compete with Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas. When it comes to ninjutsu alone, he is not afraid of anyone, especially since he has seen clearly what Shi Shangyang is doing. The seal of the knot, Knowing that it was Firestyle's arrogance, he believed that he was unrivaled in Firestyle ninjutsu, so he didn't care much. But he would never have thought that Shi Shangyang's arrogant fire would be so powerful, even if it was no worse than when he was in his prime, which surprised him. And this surprise, suddenly there are mood swings, and when there are mood swings, the card will naturally explode. Beta. No, a purple card just fell out. Shi Shangyang saw it clearly and felt it was a pity. His actions were naturally meaningful, and the purpose was of course to stir up Uchiha Madara's emotions. Unfortunately, it seems that such a sudden attack, coupled with the fire style he showed. Attainment. There is no way to make Uchiha Madara have greater mood swings, and it is estimated that he will have to use some ruthless tricks for a while. When he thought about it, the fire wave had already rushed in front of Uchiha Madara, and Uchiha Madara's response method was very simple, that is, he formed the same seal, and then opened his mouth and spit out the same terrible flame. Advertisement. Fire style fire extinguishing. Boom. The flame that rushed towards him was instantly thrown back by the flame he spewed, all the way back until it reached the limit of this technique, and the flame spit out by Shi Shangyang's stalemate between the two of them. Uchiha Madara is extremely proud. It can even be said that he is even prouder than Senju Hashirama. Strictly speaking, Senju Hashirama is stupid, and Uchiha Madara is the one who represents the pride of ninjas. Therefore, his pride will never allow Shi Shangyang, who is also Uchiha, to surpass him in fire style attainments. Especially Shi Shangyang seems to be only 11 or 12 years old, and he has lived decades longer than the other. If Shi Shangyang is overtaken by Shi Shangyang on fire style in this situation, it will be a real blow to him. The flames on both sides stalemate like this. The two seem to be competing for this technique, so this stalemate lasted for almost a minute, until the atmosphere in the entire huge cave increased by dozens of degrees, and the ground in the middle. It stopped after they were all in a state of magma. In the cave at this time, the temperature is almost Baidu exaggerated. Normal people will be scalded by the air when they enter, but for the two of them, it is just a normal environment. Kid, your fire style ninjutsu is very strong. Among the ninjas I know, you are the strongest fire style ninjutsu except me. In this regard, I, Uchiha Madara, would like to call you the strongest. He felt that he had lost, because according to his pride, he had lived a few more decades, but he didn't outperform the other side's 11-year-old kid in fire style, so the other side's fire style was stronger than himself. Uchiha Madara was very free and easy, but a gold card that broke out revealed his mood. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang couldn't help grinning, and without any hesitation, he put away the two cards. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Wood Style, Wooden Golem Jutsu, close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Outsider, Rinne Tensai Technique, close black lens bracket. Rejoice. Have you? Shi Shangyang didn't expect that he would actually reveal the technique of Rinne Tensai, which is a bit unbelievable. Chapter 100 The Wood Style Showdown, subscribe. Uchiha Madara praised him, and Shi Shangyang was very familiar with that word. Really, it's a real honor for you to say that. Shi Shangyang said so, and did not continue to use Fire Style, because it has been used just now, and Fire Style will not bring a second shock to Uchiha Madara. Your fire style is great too, so, next, are you ready? When Shi Shangyang said this, his smile became weird, as if he was about to play a prank. Uchiha Madara also had a smile on his face. It was the excitement after encountering a strong enemy. He hid behind the scenes in the ninja world for decades. During this period, he did not touch anyone. With the pride of Uchiha Madara, it was naturally unbearable, but he endured it with great perseverance, down. And now, the young man in front of him is the opponent he wants the most. There is nothing more exciting than being able to fight the last game before dying. At this time, Uchiha Madara feels that the blood in his body has been missing for a long time. Warm up. Come on kid, let me see what else you can do, Uchiha Madara laughed. As you wish. When the words fell, splendid golden chakra appeared on Shi Shangyang's body, and then these chakras quickly condensed, like the substance, condensed bones on the periphery of Shi Shangyang's body, and soon a skeleton took shape, wrapping Shi Shangyang in it. This scene is naturally very familiar to Uchiha Madara. No one knows what Shi Shangyang is doing better than him, but he did not stop it, nor did he do anything else, but waited quietly. Soon, muscle tissue condensed out of those golden bones, and the upper body of a huge humanoid took shape, then raised, followed by the legs, then the coat armor, and finally the visor. In the time of breathing, a giant with a height of 100 meters appeared in the huge underground space. Because it was so tall, the golden gold giant stood upright and broke the top of the cave. Huge hole. When Shi Shangyang thought about it, the giant raised his arm, took the long knife condensed from chakra, and slammed it up fiercely, and suddenly the sword energy swept away like a gust of wind. Boom. The top of the cave couldn't hold on any longer. Under this blow, it quickly collapsed, causing a terrifying vibration and a loud bang. Countless boulders fell, revealing a huge hole at the top leading to the ground. It's too cramped here, Uchiha Madara, I'm waiting for you up there. Advertisement saying that, the golden brown giant jumped straight up, rushed out of the cave, and brought a gust of wind. Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Madara laughed, disappeared, and jumped out of the cave behind Shi Shangyang in an instant. On the plain, a golden giant stands tall, Shi Shangyang looked down at Uchiha Madara, but unfortunately, he did not see any surprise in Uchiha Madara's eyes, instead he saw admiration. Uchiha Madara, just a Sharingan in a normal 3-tomo state, can do this? Shi Shangyang said. Uchiha Madara smiled wildly, with his arms around his chest, looking up at Shi Shangyang, with a haki on his body. Little devil, let me show you the power that really belongs to Uchiha. Then, the 3-tomo in his eyes quickly merged, turning into a mass of pitch black, and then the pitch black color extended again, followed by separation, and finally turned into 3 hollow circles connected end to end, between the 3 hollow circles. There are also 3 black lines extending outside, and the whole figure looks very strange. This time, it was Shi Shangyang's turn to be surprised. Your eyes? Shi Shangyang frowned slightly. Ha ha ha, how is it, kid, are you scared? When the words fell, Uchiha Madara tore off his robe, revealing a red armor, and at the same time there was blue chakra condensation around the body, just like Shi Shangyang just did, condensing bone and muscle tissue outside the body, followed by the outer armor. Finally, a blue giant takes shape. The blue giant is as tall as the golden giant. Both are Susanoo. Uchiha Madara has a tacit understanding and maintains the same body shape as Shi Shangyang's Susanoo. The size of Susanoo is nothing more than the amount of chakra used. If the two were willing, Susanoo could be a lot bigger. However, neither of them had such an idea. The size is just right now, which is both a deterrent and a fighting force. Shi Shangyang's surprise is that Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan has been given to Nagato, so the Sharingan in his eye socket must not be his own, but using someone else's Sharingan can elevate it to the eternal Mangekyo state, which is how did you do it? In the original plot, the eyes of Uchiha Madara after being reincarnated by Impure World seem to be from the eternal Mangekyo, and Impure World reincarnation is the state of the reincarnated deceased before he died. That at least shows a problem, even if the Uchiha Madara in the plot, the pair of Sharin in the eye socket before death, is also in the eternal Mangekyo state. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot seeking flowers katakana middle dot 0 advertisement. This is kind of scary. How the hell did this guy do it? After losing my own eyes, can I use my pupil power to forcefully turn a pair of ordinary Mangekyo into an eternal Mangekyo? Shi Shangyang thought it was very possible, but he wouldn't experiment with his own eyes. It made no difference to him anyway. Hearing this, Shi Shangyang laughed suddenly, also very wanton, staring at Uchiha Madara with burning eyes, as if he saw some kind of baby, which made Uchiha Madara very uncomfortable. Great, Uchiha Madara, you gave me too many surprises. I decided, next, I will fight you with the most serious state, and then, kill you. Uchiha Madara laughed again, but this time, instead of speaking again, he suddenly folded his hands. Wood style the tree world is coming. 35 The next moment, the ground under his feet began to vibrate, making a crackling sound, and a tree seedling drilled out of it, and then quickly expanded and twisted, just like a long snake with life, with the center as the center toward the surrounding quickly. Diffusion, and in a blink of an eye, the area where the two were located was completely covered. Those saplings are rapidly expanding, and the speed of growth can no longer be described in words, but in the blink of an eye, the trees have swelled to the level of dozens of meters, and then they continue to accelerate. Little devil, this is no less than Uchiha's power. Give me a good look. Uchiha Madara laughed. Shi Shangyang was not surprised but delighted, and then he put his hands together and shouted, Wood-style wooden golem jutsu, 35. He can use wood style himself, but like other ninjutsu, it needs a little practice, and the wood style displayed by his current ability naturally cannot reach the level of the tree world, but fortunately, the wooden golem jutsu, which was just stabbed from Uchiha Madara, was just ready to use at this time. Moreover, this is more shocking. No, when the bigger wooden golem under Shi Shangyang's feet took shape, the golden Susanoo turned into armor and wrapped around the wooden golem, forming a majestic outfit. On the opposite side, Uchiha Madara's eyes widened, and a golden card fell from his body. Chapter 101 Uchiha Madara's mentality is unbalanced. Please subscribe. The drop of this card was not actually in Shi Shangyang's plan. He originally wanted to use the full-body Susanoo to shock Uchiha Madara, because he thought that Uchiha Madara was using a normal 3-tomo. You can't use Susa. But I never thought that this guy can actually use Susanoo, so the full-body Susanoo has become a normal ability display, which may have made Uchiha Madara interested, but it did not shock him, so naturally it will not explode. Stuck. And the appearance of the next wood-style tree realm came unexpectedly to Shi Shangyang. In his opinion, this is more like a response of Uchiha Madara to his ability to show his ability. It seems that he wants to tell him, look, you there was Susa and I had Susa, but now I have wood style and you don't. Shi Shangyang immediately caught Uchiha Madara's mentality, and directly displayed the wood style wooden golem jutsu that he had just learned. Well, I will also be wood style. And what is wood style? That is Uchiha Madara's nightmare, and it is also the power that Uchiha Madara most wants to have, otherwise he would not have tried his best to get Hashirama's flesh and blood, and thus have wood style blood successor, because wood style is the strongest force in an era to conquer the ninja world. This is the power that Uchiha Madara has to admit. But when Shi Shangyang easily showed this kind of power, Uchiha Madara suddenly felt a little out of balance. Why? Why'd I have the power that I have to fight to the death? You can have it now as a kid. Do you make me look stupid? Of course, The above are all the psychological activities of Uchiha Madara unilaterally guessed by Shi Shangyang, and what is the actual psychological activity of Uchiha Madara, which Shi Shangyang does not know, but he is surprised or shocked but cannot be faked, otherwise there will be no gold cards out. Shi Shangyang naturally hurried to collect it. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Forbidden Technique, Reanimation Jutsu, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card obtained by host Forbidden Technique, Reanimation Jutsu, has been increased by 6 times, and upgraded to ability card Forbidden Technique, Reanimation Jutsu Grandmaster. Nice abage. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang was overjoyed in his heart, and looked at Uchiha Madara with a fiery look in his eyes. Now he has only one thought. Lord Madara, please be balled by me before you die. What is Reanimation Jutsu? That is definitely the most buggy technique in the entire ninja world. This is a forbidden technique that blurs the boundaries of life and death. The appearance of this technique represents the breaking of the boundaries between life and death, giving the deceased the ability to interfere in the world of the living. Not to mention that second Hokage Senju Tobirama is definitely a genius who developed ninjutsu. Shi Shangyang was a little fascinated by Senju Tobirama who could develop this technique. If this guy is still alive, the ghost knows that he will develop some more spells, and it would be a pity to die. First is the Rinne Tensai technique, and then the Reanimation Jutsu. These two numbers are related to life and death. Unfortunately, the former requires Rinnegan to be activated. Shi Shangyang has not yet met the conditions of use, but the latter has no restrictions on the current Shi Shangyang. It is the technique that Shi Shangyang expects. Come on, Madara. Shi Shangyang shouted loudly, with a very happy smile, and then rode the huge wooden golem, stomping on the ground with a rumble, smashing the huge trees directly, and rushing towards Uchiha Madara. At this time, Uchiha Madara had recovered, and his face was not very good looking. Facing Shi Shangyang who was coming in, his response was also very simple, and he rode Susanoo and rushed up. When Shi Shangyang uses the wood style, it indicates that the wood style he used, the tree world, will no longer be effective, so the next battle is very simple and becomes a collision of pure power and power. Boom! There was a loud bang, followed by a hurricane-like impact. The mighty wooden golem collided with Uchiha Madara's Susanoo. With the two giants at the center, the impact smashed the surrounding giant trees into pieces. Countless pieces of debris collapsed with the wind, just like the explosion of a powerful cannonball, and the feet of the two giants collapsed in large pieces. The battle started at this moment, and it was an extremely terrifying collision at the beginning. There was no bells and whistles. Some were just pure force collisions. At this moment, Shi Shangyang felt the joy of fighting and the sense of accomplishment from the collision with Uchiha Madara. Who is on the opposite side? That is Uchiha Madara, the biggest boss in the ninja world at this stage. Even if he is an old Madara, he can fight him to such an extent that even Shi Shangyang can't help but feel a sense of pride. But Uchiha Madara on the opposite side would not have such an idea. His life has entered the countdown, and he wanted to burst into the brightest light at the last moment of his life, but he never thought that the little devil in front of him would be so difficult to deal with, but also has the wood style ability that he worked so hard to acquire, which makes Uchiha Madara's senses extremely complicated. Advertisement. Where did your wood style come from? Uchiha Madara finally asked the doubts in his heart. Ha ha ha. Shi Shangyang laughed and said loudly, I have to thank the guy you sent to follow me before. This is the wood style ability I got from him. Naturally, what he said was white zetsu, and at this time, it was of course impossible to reveal that he had a private relationship with Uchiha Obito. This is impossible. The wood style on that kind of guy is fundamentally different from the one you are using now. It is impossible for a normal person to be a master. 39 Uchiha Madara said immediately. What Uchiha Madara said is true. He wants to master wood style through white zetsu. He has also done similar experiments, but all the experiments ended in failure. Masters. Even the white zetsu cells used to repair Uchiha Obito's body are mainly based on Hashirama cells, which can only be achieved based on Hashirama cells, and the wood style owned by Uchiha Obito is still derived from Senju to be exact. Hashirama, but Shi Shangyang took out the wood style cells containing the characteristics of the divine tree from his body. Shi Shangyang looked at another 3.0 golden card that fell from Uchiha Madara, grinned and said, maybe I am talented, you should be able to understand that there are geniuses in the ninja world, and I am exactly that kind of genius. While speaking, he had already collected this gold card. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card wood style, multiple wood clone technique, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card wood style, multiple wood clone technique, obtained by host, which has been increased by 5 times and upgraded to ability card wood style, multiple wood clone technique grandmaster. Can multiple wood clone count as a gold card? Shi Shangyang was a little puzzled, but after thinking about it, the wood style clone is not a shadow clone, it is a clone with a real entity. Except for the same thoughts, everything else can be regarded as a separate individual, and the ability to count as a gold card is not very good. Accident. All in all, it's a profit. Chapter 102 Izanagi, subscribe. Uchiha Madara naturally refused to believe Shi Shangyang's statement, but he also knew that it was impossible to get the real answer from the other party's mouth. Uchiha Madara did not bother about this issue much, sneered, and then blue the colored Susanoo suddenly rose from the ground and jumped into the sky. Tomo of Yusaka. I saw the huge Susanoo swinging his sword, and then clusters of light blue light like cannonballs chased after him, attacking Shi Shangyang below with rapid and terrifying impact. The sound of breaking the air sounded, and even if it was only distinguished from the sound, one could feel the terrifyingness of this blow, and Shi Shangyang, who was the first among them, immediately felt the threat, a real threat. What? Shi Shangyang let out a light drink, the chakra all over his body skyrocketed, wooden golem stood up, the chakra armor on his body suddenly became brighter, and a layer of golden chakra flames ignited on the armor. The next moment, the light bombs that filled the sky like rain had already fallen. Boom boom boom. 14 each light bullet is the smallest in the size of a wash basin. When it landed on wooden golem, it immediately produced a violent explosion. Its power far exceeded the level of the detonating charm. It produced a strong impact, causing wooden golem to step back a little bit. This is the power of Uchiha Madara. Even a seemingly ordinary blow has a terrifying power, far beyond what ordinary ninjas can contend with. The smoke and dust in the sky rolled up, completely submerging Shi Shangyang and the disguised wooden golem under his feet, and the trees around the majestic wooden golem were destroyed. This move by Uchiha Madara is completely indiscriminate. Come, it can be called the level of regional destruction. When the light bomb stopped, the huge Susanoo fell. Uchiha Madara put his arms around his chest, slightly lowered his head and looked down at the billowing smoke in the distance. That hockey couldn't hold back at all. But in the next moment, call out, a sharp whistling sounded, followed by a cold light. That is a kunai, and there is a faint light of chakra flowing on the kunai, and it is this ray of chakra that brings the terrifying penetrating power of kunai, directly penetrating Susanoo of Uchiha Madara, and facing his face. Shot. Snapped. As soon as Uchiha Madara stretched out his hand, he grabbed the kuwu in his hand, swept his eyes, and wanted to sneer, but his face changed suddenly, because he saw the special mark of Kawushang, and he felt in his heart. Suddenly I had a bad feeling. This hunch was very effective, because at the moment when his face changed slightly, Shi Shangyang's figure appeared in front of him, grabbed his wrist, and slammed his knee on his abdomen like a cannonball. Advertisement boom. A strong muffled sound rang out, and Uchiha Madara's body was instantly bent by the impact of the knee, but because Shi Shangyang pinched his wrist, he couldn't fly upside down. Shi Shangyang spun his body along the way, driving Uchiha Madara's body to follow, and then he was thrown to the ground by him. Call out. Boom. Like a cannonball hitting the ground, a thick plume of smoke was instantly smashed out of the ground. At this moment, Shi Shangyang had finished the seal, and when he opened his mouth, a fiery flame fell towards the location of Uchiha Madara. Fire-style fire extinguishing arrow. The fire was like an arrow, rushing to the ground with whistling and scorching heat, and in an instant, it was like the scalding hot oil was ignited, and the flames were rushing around like waves and burning. The whole process took less than a second. Uchiha Madara was knocked down by Shi Shangyang's combo. Susanoo in midair lost the source of chakra and dissipated. Shi Shangyang also fell calmly from midair, standing on the branch of a giant tree. This time it was his condescending look down. The smoke and dust dissipated, the flames rolled, and through the flames, the movement below could be seen. Uchiha Madara stood up from the ground and patted the dust on his body at will. He couldn't see any injuries on his body at all, and his face was very calm. But all this is disguise, because Shi Shangyang has seen a gold card floating at his feet. Obviously, Shi Shangyang's moment just now brought a lot of shock to Uchiha Madara. Is that the Flying Thunder God technique? Uchiha Madara opened his mouth, and his voice fell into Shi Shangyang's ears through the surrounding noise. Hearing this, Shi Shangyang smiled slightly. You read that right, it is indeed the Flying Thunder God technique. Hearing this, Uchiha Madara's expression became a little gloomy, and his eyes towards Shi Shangyang also brought obvious malice. Shi Shangyang naturally knows why Uchiha Madara has emotional changes, and the reason lies in this Flying Thunder God technique. Advertisement: his younger brother Izuna was killed by this technique. Since then, Senju Tobarama, who killed his younger brother, has become his mortal enemy, and now that someone uses this technique again in front of him, Uchiha Madara can't stand it, because it brought back memories and hatred in him. Shi Shangyang naturally put away the gold card and opened his eyes slightly. Drip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card secret method, Izanagi. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card, secret method, Izanagi, obtained by the host, which has been increased by 7 times, and has been upgraded to ability card secret method, Izanagi Kanjin card. Finally got this technique out. Shi Shangyang was very excited. If Uchiha Madara had any skill that moved him the most, it would only be the skill of Izanagi. Having this skill is equivalent to an extra life. If Sharingan is enough, this thing is quite so resurrection coins. Therefore, in Shi Shangyang's view, the other abilities of 873 on Uchiha Madara are not as important as this technique. You succeeded in angering me, kid, Uchiha Madara said solemnly. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled slightly, shrugged and said, it's a pity, you're about to die. This is the truth. Uchiha Madara is the last state before dying. Both of them are actually very clear. Uchiha Madara cannot last long in this state, but Uchiha Madara did not move to Shi Shangyang as soon as she came up because of her pride really, and now, it seems that if you don't move, you will have no chance. Huh. 35 Uchiha Madara snorted coldly, her figure disappeared suddenly, and Shi Shangyang was surprised by the speed of the instant body technique, and appeared in front of Shi Shangyang in an instant. So fast! This is Shi Shangyang's intuitive feeling. Boom! With a muffled sound, Uchiha Madara's ferocious attack of a whip leg was blocked by Shi Shangyang's arm. He only felt a huge force attack, and he took 2 steps to the side uncontrollably. The difference in body between the two is too big. After all, Shi Shangyang is only 11 or 12 years old, but Uchiha Madara is almost in his prime, so it is not surprising to have such a result. But it was just these 2 steps back that Uchiha Madara seized the opportunity, directly bullied him, and launched a continuous attack on Shi Shangyang. Chapter 103 Obtaining Yin and Yang Escape, for subscription. Uchiha Madara's attack is like a continuous drizzle. It doesn't look very fierce, but Shi Shangyang feels very strong with each blow. He can feel that the other party has used Sharingan's insight to ultimate. Any slight movement change on your body will be captured by the opponent, and then used to form a new attack, which is hard to prevent. Boom! Another punch hit Shi Shangyang's chest. Shi Shangyang stretched out his hand to block it at the last minute, but Uchiha Madara's moves changed abruptly. With a flip of his palm, he staggered Shi Shangyang's block, and his elbow was like a cannonball. It usually hits Shi Shangyang's chest. Boom! Shi Shangyang flew upside down uncontrollably, flying directly for more than 10 meters before hitting a giant tree ruthlessly. Boom! The giant tree trembled when it was hit, which shows how huge the power of this blow is. Uchiha Madara's attack was not over yet. The moment Shi Shangyang flew upside down, he had already followed. His speed was the same as that of Shi Shangyang flying backwards. He arrived at almost the same time and hit a giant tree at Shi Shangyang. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Shi Shangyang's neck. Snapped. But at the next moment, Uchiha Madara's wrist was tight, and Shi Shangyang's hand grabbed it hard. I said, you just beat up really well, didn't you? Shi Shangyang raised his head, grinning. Ah! Uchiha Madara sneered and shot again the next moment. Boom! However, this inevitable blow was easily blocked by Shi Shangyang's other hand. The short body also has the advantage of being short. At least really speaking, Shi Shangyang at this age is obviously more flexible than Uchiha Madara. Shi Shangyang resisted Uchiha Madara's fist with one hand, then kicked out with one foot. While being blocked by Uchiha Madara, he jumped up slightly, twisting his body. The other leg slapped Uchiha Madara's cheek like a long whip. It's useless. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara leaned back slightly, and had already prepared a response in advance. An attack of this level would have no effect on him at all. But the next moment, Uchiha Madara's expression changed suddenly, because he suddenly found that his body uncontrollably returned to the original movement, and the movement of turning sideways just now became the previous state. Then, Shi Shangyang's whip leg slapped him on the cheek. Boom! Uchiha Madara was thrown to the side by the kick, but Shi Shangyang's movements did not stop. He was in the air at this time, and his body was already twisted in half. The leg that was just blocked kicked up, and he had direct kick to Uchiha Madara's jaw. Uchiha Madara wants to dodge. His physical skills dare not say that he is unique in the ninja world, but he is definitely the only kind of existence in the ninja world. But when facing Shi Shangyang's attack, he can't dodge at all. Pass. Because he had already discovered that there was a strange force acting on him, restoring himself to his original state. No matter how he dodged, he could not avoid Shi Shangyang's attack. Boom! Shi Shangyang's kick was solid. Uchiha Madara's head was raised high, and even his entire body was slightly ejected. Shi Shangyang twisted his body again, and the hand holding Uchiha Madara's wrist slammed hard. Once he swung Uchiha Madara around, and then fell to the ground. He took a step forward and stepped directly on Uchiha Madara's chest, condescending. Sharingan flashed a strange color, and his smile did not change. Puff! Uchiha Madara coughed up a mouthful of blood. Such an attack was nothing to him, but he tried to dodge several times in a row, but couldn't dodge Shi Shangyang's attack, which made him feel angry, especially the strange power, which made him very concerned. How about it? Can you stand up again? While speaking, Shi Shangyang slowly drew out his ninja sword. Uchiha Madara's eyes flashed, and he stretched out his hand suddenly, and the sickle that was inserted on the ground in the distance flew over and fell into his hand almost instantly. When the knife that Shi Shangyang cut was blocked by Uchiha Madara's sickle, and when the sickle turned, the sharp edge hit Shi Shangyang's neck. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang took 2 steps back slightly and escaped the dangerous blow. Uchiha Madara stood up instantly, flew several meters upside down, and distanced himself from Shi Shangyang. At this time, he really began to fear Shi Shangyang, especially the strange power that troubled him just now, which made him particularly concerned. Is that your Mangekyo ability? Uchiha Madara said solemnly. You guessed it right, but unfortunately there is no reward. 35. Shi Shangyang still smiled, and then collected the extra gold card on the ground. That's right, all the performances just now were deliberately done by Shi Shangyang, who deliberately took physical combat and used Chenju's abilities in order to leave the deepest impression on Uchiha Madara. What else is more impressive than being able to dodge the attack, but being restrained by a strange force and being beaten abruptly? This move of Shi Shangyang is naturally for the abilities of Uchiha Madara. As long as it can burst the card, he doesn't mind being beaten, because this meeting with Uchiha Madara was under his design from the beginning. Uchiha Madara thought this was a meeting to teach Uchiha's younger generation a lesson, but in fact, here in Shi Shangyang, this is just a journey of wool making with precious opportunities. In Shi Shangyang's eyes, Uchiha Madara is the most fat man, just sheep. The big fat sheep must have the self-consciousness of the big fat sheep. Uchiha Madara's face is not very good looking, and being attacked by a kid like this, there is no way to avoid it. It is indeed not a good experience for a proud person like him, but Shi Shangyang's mind is not on him at this time. It was placed on the newly obtained card, and Shi Shangyang was surprised by the sound of the system. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Yin Yang Escape. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host's ability, Qian Jiaohao, card, Yin and Yang Escape, which has been increased by 9 times, and upgraded to ability card, Yin Yang Escape, perfect. Yin Yang Escape has arrived, so will Rinnegan be far behind? The power of all things is also Yin and Yang Escape, but more precisely, it is the basic condition for obtaining Rinnegan. Only after possessing the power of all things, can the eternal Mangekyo evolve into a Rinnegan. Strictly speaking, it is the basis of Yin and Yang Escape. And Yin and Yang Dun can be powerful. Yin Dun is the spiritual power. The limit of Master Yin Dun's power is to create a body, and Yang Dun is life energy, which can inject life into the body. The combination of the two is able to create life out of nothing. Ability. This is the power of Yin and Yang Escape. It is precisely because of this that Uchiha Madara believes in Black Zetsu so much, because Uchiha Madara really thought that Black Zetsu was created by him. Shi Shangyang can only say that Black Zetsu's design is so clever that even Uchiha Madara deceived the past. Chapter 104 Convergence of Fighting Methods. Please subscribe. Now Shi Shangyang has acquired a lot of abilities from Uchiha Madara. First Uchiha Madara's Fire Style experience, then Wood Dragon Technique, Rinne Tensai Technique, and Pure World Reincarnation, Multiple Wood Clone Technique, Izanagi, and even now Yin and Yang Escape. He estimated that most of the abilities that Uchiha Madara still had were some powerful ninjutsu and experience, and Rinnegan, which he valued the most, had not been smashed out yet, but if he wanted to smash this technique out, it was obviously not so good. Simple thing. Hash. Shi Shangyang suddenly thought of a point. He has worked hard until now, but he has not been able to get Rinnegan out of Uchiha Madara. Could it be that he will not explode this thing at all? After all, if you think about it carefully, Rinnegan is a Nagato right now, so if it should explode, it should be Nagato, right? Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang felt that this possibility was very high, and then his eyes turned towards Uchiha Madara became unkind. Feeling tossed here for a long time, is it a waste of time? Oh, nasty B*******************. D. Uchiha Madara sneered at this time, and with a move of his hand, a large fan in the distance flew into his hand. At this moment, he had a sickle in one hand and a fan in the other, and his scarlet eyes stared at Shi Shangyang, his body filled with war intent. Shi Shangyang could feel that Uchiha Madara got serious at this moment. If it was said that it was an exploratory battle before, then what Shi Shangyang will face next is a truly serious enemy. That's right, it's the enemy. At this moment, the two are truly opposed to each other, and there is no possibility of temptation, because in the next battle, there will only be one winner. Saw. Without any nonsense, Uchiha Madara rushed towards Shi Shangyang, 3 points faster than before, with a terrifying aura in every move. Shi Shangyang's expression froze. Just facing Uchiha Madara directly at this time made him feel a pressure. That is the aura that only a real strong person can have. It sounds mysterious, but when facing him directly can feel it. Therefore, Shi Shangyang also became serious, the smile on his face subsided, and he leaned forward slightly, ready to face the battle. Call out. Advertisement amidst the sharp whistling sound. Uchiha Madara appeared in front of Shi Shangyang, with a slash on the head, and the cold light shot out with astonishing determination. When Shi Shangyang held up the drafting sword and held up the blow, then made a seal with one hand, and opened his mouth to spit out a sharp wind blade. Wind-style vacuum kill. Puff puff puff. The wind blades were like bullets, and Shi Shangyang shot out dozens of them in one breath, but Uchiha Madara evaded all such close-range, beta, attacks, which shows how rich his combat experience is. Both of them used their real skills. Uchiha Madara is better than Shi Shangyang in terms of combat experience, but Shi Shangyang's capital is also very strong, and he has various abilities and attack methods. Boom. The battle between the two gradually began to escalate. From the physical skills at the beginning to the swordsmanship, and then from the swordsmanship to the ninjutsu, the intensity of the battle became more and more terrifying. The fluctuations of the battle are even more terrifying. The strength of the chakra of the two is the kind that stands at the top of the ninja world. It is not comparable to ordinary ninjas. The effect of advanced ninjutsu, the destructive power produced is even stronger and terrifying. The tree world that Uchiha Madara first displayed came, and the huge forest of giant trees was completely destroyed by the battle between the two. The Great Falls technique turns the scene into a swamp. Let's put it this way, Shi Shangyang may not be able to compare with Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama in his heyday in terms of experience, but he is definitely not inferior in magnitude. A ninja who can change the terrain level at will, so the battle between the two is destined to be small. And such a terrifying movement can be said in a short period of time, but after a long time, it will definitely attract the attention of outsiders. Both of them are well aware of this, so the intensity of the battle is rising again and again. By this time, there is a real sign of winners and losers. I've never been able to push me to this point before, kid, you can be proud of yourself. 99. Uchiha Madara gasped slightly. After this battle, his body had a huge load. He was already at the last moment of his life, and his state at this time was only the last time before dying. He was able to maintain a prosperous attitude. There is not much time left, but until now, he has not solved the kid in front of him, which makes Uchiha Madara feel that he is really old. Shi Shangyang wiped the sweat from his forehead, not to mention, fighting against such an enemy is also very stressful for him. The opponent's combat experience is really terrible, that kind of state of calculating everything every moment, even if it is people like him who are good at calculating or a little overwhelmed. The ability is second. Shi Shangyang has enough ability, and he dare not say that his master has more ninjutsu and ability than Uchiha Madara, not to mention Uchiha Madara is the kind of existence that can form fighting like art. His combat experience is so powerful that even a low-level ninjutsu can cause huge difficulties to Shi Shangyang at the right time. Advertisement: this is the gap between combat experience. Shi Shangyang has a clear understanding of himself. He knows that he is very strong now, and he has few opponents in the ninja world, but he is not as young as Uchiha Madara. One thing he has to admit. However, his dexterity in calculation is also his incomparable advantage, so the two of them still have a stalemate feeling after fighting until now, and even the fighting styles of the two are the same to a certain extent. It is to use everything to win, so the battle has not been easy for the two of them until now. You're not bad, old guy, Shi Shangyang said without any loss. At the same time, he picked up the gold card that Uchiha Madara had just dropped. After this battle, Shi Shangyang was shocked, and it also shocked Uchiha Madara, so it is not surprising that a card was revealed. It's a pity that it's still not Rinnegan, but the art of wood-style tree world descends, which is also a good harvest for Shi Shangyang. Ha ha. Uchiha Madara sneered, no more nonsense. Blue chakra poured out of the whole body, and Susanoo condensed again, and it was still a complete Susanoo. The height has exceeded 100 meters, and the pressure is amazing. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang did not hesitate to display Susanoo as well. The golden Susanoo is also in a complete state, and his height is the same as that of Uchiha Madara's Susanoo. Little devil. 99. Uchiha Madara gave a loud shout. Old man. Shi Shangyang also shouted in response. The next moment, the two towering Susanoos rushed towards each other, causing an astonishing storm and shockwaves to collide. At this moment, the battle became the purest state. All skills were abandoned by the two of them, and they both decided to use the most intuitive ability to win the battle. Uchiha Madara wants Shi Shangyang to know that even if he is about to die, he is still a ninja world Shira. And Shi Shangyang wants to let Uchiha Madara know that if he is there, the damned person will die quickly. Chapter 105 Gold Card Explosion, for subscription. Boom. Today's roar resounded in all directions. The earth cracked at this moment. The terrifying shockwave was like a nuclear bomb explosion. The billowing air spread around the two people, rolling up everything along the way, giant trees, gravel, sand, etc. Rolling dust. All of this was swept away by the strong wind, rushing out like a doomsday storm. The airwave is more than 100 meters high. From a distance, it looks like there is a huge curtain between heaven and earth, incomparable, terrifying. In the battlefield, the earth collapsed, and two giants like gods collided. The blue Susanoo and the brilliant golden Susanoo were like giants, slashing with the chakra sword in their hands, or using similar physical techniques. The huge stature is unexpectedly flexible. Both Susanoos are complete, and the complete Susanoo has a characteristic. It not only has the armor formed by chakra, but also has a pair of chakra wings. After fighting on the ground for a while, the two will invariably vibrate their wings. Huge. Susanoo soars into the sky. Gradually, because of the battle between the two godlike Susanoos, the surrounding sky became overcast with clouds, rolling thunder and vibrating endlessly. Let this area become like doomsday. Tomo of Yasaka, it was like a rain of light and bullets, densely covering a large space. The golden brown giant held the sword in both hands, made a move of accumulating force to cut, and then suddenly drew the sword. Cut thunder. Boom. When the knife was slashed out, a thunderbolt fell in an instant, slashing on the chakra blade, and then this slash took on the characteristics of thunder and lightning, and it was vigorous, like the power of the sky, and instantly destroyed everything along the way. Those light bombs even exploded. Before there was time to appear, they were all wiped out. Then, the golden-colored giant fluttered his wings, and his huge figure rolled up the wind, and rushed towards Susanoo of Uchiha Madara. Another slash, with the power to split the earth. Boom. The sword was blocked by Susanoo of Uchiha Madara, but the burst of energy was like rolling thunder. Defense. Fight back. The two fought in the sky like this. The two Susanoos were both extremely large, but they both showed terrifying maneuverability, hitting from the sky to the ground, and finally from the ground to the sky. The energy that erupted wherever it went, destroyed everything around it, and even changed the surrounding terrain. It was originally just a barren land, but now it has become a fragmented area of ravines and crisscrossing ravines. At the center, a huge pit appeared. Advertisement: the giant pit was originally the underground base of Uchiha Madara, but it was completely destroyed by the battle between the two, and then changed beyond recognition because of the battle between the two. Crash. Bean-sized raindrops fell in the sky, the wind howled, the thunder and lightning, and the storm. Every time the two giants collided, the strong wind swept away, forming a vacuum-like area. When the shockwave spread, it brought more violent weather changes. The weather in the area has become increasingly extreme. Time passed by, and minutes passed by in a blink of an eye. Boom. Another collision. Uchiha Madara and Shi Shangyang separated. The two Susanos had shrunk to less than 60 meters at this time, and the body condensed by chakra had become broken at this time. The blue Susanoo legs disappeared, and the golden-colored Susanoo's left arm was gone, showing how terrifying the battle between the two was. Ha ha! Uchiha Madara gasped violently, sweat dripping down her face. Her body that was in its prime state now showed signs of shriveling, and her jet black hair also had silver threads. Obviously, he has reached the limit, otherwise it would not be in this state. On the opposite side in the distance, Shi Shangyang is not much better. He is also panting. The only good thing is that he is much better than Uchiha Madara, at least not as heavy as Uchiha Madara. At this point in the battle, both sides actually knew what the final result would be, but Uchiha Madara's pride did not allow him to admit that he would lose. And Shi Shangyang is a little puzzled. Why is this guy Uchiha Madara not bursting cards in the fight until now? Is it that in such an exaggerated battle just now, this guy has no mood swings? This doesn't work. Shi Shangyang felt that he had to try one last time no matter what. He didn't care if he could get rid of Rinnegan. Anyway, he had to let Uchiha Madara explode the card again, otherwise, wouldn't the energy used in the battle just now be wasted? Say your last goodbye to this world, old guy, Shi Shangyang shouted. Uchiha Madara sneered, but this time he didn't say a word, then took a deep breath and clapped his hands together. Susanoo outside his body also formed a seal at the same time. Go to Wangshan with me, little brat, for flowers, 0. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard the words, and then suddenly raised his head as if thinking of something. The clouds were surging, the air was shaking, and the rolling thunder seemed to stop at this moment. Then, the clouds were torn apart, and a huge meteor fell from the sky. Tengai Shinsei. 9. Shi Shangyang is all too familiar with this scene. This is one of Uchiha Madara's ultimate moves. Shi Shangyang knows it very well, but he never thought he could use it in this state. This F*K is the ability that can be displayed in the Sharingan state? Are you kidding me? Shi Shangyang's eyes widened, but he clearly remembered that in the original plot, Uchiha Madara activated this ability, but in the Rinnegan state, which means that this thing is the complete Rinnegan ability, not the ability in the eternal Mangekyo state. So then again, how did he do it? Uchiha Madara seemed to take Shi Shangyang's surprise as a shock, and suddenly laughed loudly. This is the power that can only be displayed by the ultimate pupil technique in the ninja world, and it is also a pupil power I left for myself, but I didn't expect it to be possible. Use it on you, but it's not bad. You can take away a kid like you at the last moment of your life. At least you won't affect my follow-up plan. Shi Shangyang immediately understood when he heard the words. Uchiha Madara left a Rinnegan power for himself in advance, no wonder he was able to use this trick. So, Shi Shangyang's eyes flashed, and then his eyes were blood red, and blood flowed out of his left eye socket for a while. The next moment, the surrounding air seemed to freeze, the huge movement in the sky suddenly stopped falling, and everything seemed to have been pressed the pause button. Then, the time was reversed, and the huge meteor returned along the way, back into the clouds, and then the clouds closed, and everything seemed to have never appeared. What? Shi Shangyang covered his left eye and controlled the flow of time in such a large space. The consumption of pupil power was really too severe, making him feel a little unbearable. But he was full of smiles and grinned. Now, what ability do you have? In his gaze, 3 golden cards fell from Uchiha Madara. At the same time, Uchiha Madara's body quickly squatted down, the Susanoo outside his body disappeared, his hair quickly turned white, and the person fell from the air. Chapter 106. Uchiha Madara is dead. Subscribe. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang directly withdrew the Susanoo around him, and then quickly shot towards Uchiha Madara, who was already holding it in his hand when he was in the air. He clearly felt that the change that happened to Uchiha Madara at this moment, his breath of life was passing by rapidly. It seemed that the Tengai Shinsei just now had consumed his last life force, and Uchiha Madara at this time had already trapped in dying. The two landed, and Shi Shangyang put Uchiha Madara on the ground and stood beside him with a weird expression. How should I put it? Shi Shangyang has already felt the power of Uchiha Madara from the fight till now. This is just Uchiha Madara's radiant state before his death. If it is replaced by Uchiha Madara's prosperous state when he had Rinnegan, Shi Shangyang is not sure of today's result. Will it be so? Because of this, 873, he suddenly felt the pressure. The water in the ninja world is still deep, and before there is no absolute power, it can't be too rough no matter what. You won. Kid, take my eyes away, they're your trophies, 55. Uchiha Madara's voice was very weak, and she seemed to be weak, her eyes were slightly closed, and her eyes were no longer the same as before. Shi Shangyang squatted down, looked at Uchiha Madara, who had returned to an old age, and said in a low voice. Although I don't know why you were so calm, thinking about death is just a special experience for you. I always feel that we should have a chance to meet again, don't you think? Uchiha Madara had already closed his eyes, ignoring Shi Shangyang's words. The ups and downs of his chest became weaker, and by this time, he could die at any time. No answer. Shi Shangyang doesn't care much, he has more important things to do now. He still hasn't collected the 3 gold cards. This made Shi Shangyang very excited, and he exploded 3 gold cards all at once. He didn't know what abilities they were. If he wanted to come to the entire ninja world, only Uchiha Madara could explode so many cards from beginning to end, right? It is estimated that even if Senju Hashirama is resurrected, I am afraid that it will not be as generous as Uchiha Madara. It is a treasure to have so many gold cards in one battle. Advertisement, drip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Wood Style. The Flower Tree World comes close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Wood Style, Wood Dragon Technique. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Rinnegan, close black lens bracket. This, Shi Shangyang's eyes widened. He didn't care much about the abilities of the first 2 gold cards. After all, they were just Wood Style. Even if he didn't get these 2 gold cards, he could still learn these 2 skills with his own efforts. But Rinnegan is a little different, the ultimate pupil technique in the ninja world, and he has finally let him smash it out until now. The previous suspicions were very reasonable, but now the appearance of Rinnegan has broken Shi Shangyang's suspicions. When he got this thing, Shi Shangyang's confidence was greatly increased in an instant, and he no longer had to wait for his Rinnegan to open. All 3 cards have several times of increase, among which Rinnegan has the most increase, reaching the level of 7 times, and the result becomes Rinnegan, blank state. With Mangekyo's experience, Shi Shangyang naturally knows what the blank state represents. What? Using this card is equivalent to him turning on Rinnegan naturally, and he is about to get a pair of Rinnegan that belongs to him. What could be more exciting than this? Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang's eyes towards Uchiha Madara softened a lot, and he felt somewhat grateful to Uchiha Madara in his heart. Although it's a bit inexplicable, but this guy is a good person. Do not? A benefactor to be exact. By the way, do you still have any unfulfilled wishes? Let me help you? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Madara glanced at Shi. There was no nonsense. He stretched out his hand tremblingly, and then in Shi Shangyang's surprised eyes, he directly pulled his eyes out. The bloody look was a bit terrifying. Advertisement. If you don't want these eyes, I will destroy them, Uchiha Madara said. Yes, why not? Shi Shangyang took it without hesitation and put it into a special small glass bottle. He was sure that Uchiha Madara had manipulated these eyes, but he did not intend to refuse. And this is just a pair of ordinary 3-tomo Sharingan, in the eyes of Uchiha Madara showing the eternal Mangekyo state. It is only because of Uchiha Madara's own chakra catalysis. After all, Uchiha Madara is a terrible existence with Rinnegan. His body has long remembered with the level of pupil strength. Even if it is replaced with an ordinary 3-tomo Sharingan, it can catalyze it to the level of eternal Mangekyo. Now this pair of Sharingan has been removed, and without the supply of Uchiha Madara's chakra, it immediately returned to the normal 3-tomo state, but for Shi Shangyang, having an extra pair of 3-tomo Sharingan is also a good gain. Uchiha Madara did something, just go back and study it. Shi Shangyang didn't kill Uchiha Madara because it wasn't necessary. The old man has now reached the last moment of his life and will die at any time, so he didn't need to do anything at all. And before he took down Sharingan, he was fully capable of launching Izanagi to change the current outcome, but Uchiha Madara didn't do it. Obviously he was ready for death. Of course, even if Izanagi is used, Uchiha Madara can't change the reality that he is about to die. After all, he is dying of old age, not dying of serious injuries. There are essential differences between the two. After Uchiha Madara finished this, he folded his hands on his chest and said at the same time, "Little devil, you were right, we will meet again." When the words fell, a special technique was activated, and in an instant, dense lines of incantation appeared on Uchiha Madara's body. These lines spread to Uchiha Madara's whole body as if they had life. The next moment, Chakra 3.0 rioted on her body. Shi Shangyang raised his brows, stepped back without any hesitation, and took the big fan and sickle with him. These two things were his trophies, and they were both treasures. Less than 2 seconds after he left, a roar sounded from where Uchiha Madara was, and a violent explosion appeared, instantly blasting Uchiha Madara's body into powder, and then drifting away with the wind, leaving no trace. Tisk tisk, really decisive. Do you want me to get my body and control him? 99. Shi Shangyang shook his head slightly. He did have this idea, but just after seeing those incantations, he knew that Uchiha Madara had already left behind his own body, and even if he got the body, there would be nothing effect. Chapter 107. Ninja World Depths. Subscribe. Up to now, the plot that Shi Shangyang knows has been completely changed, and the advantage of foresight will be weakened a lot in the next time. But this is only part of it. Shi Shangyang still knows a lot of the information shown in the original plot, so when facing the natives of the ninja world, he still has a huge advantage. When Uchiha Madara died, the hand hidden in the shadow of the ninja world was cut off by him, and the only thing left to pay attention to was the only Black Zetsu left. But with Uchiha Obito hiding in secret, even if Black Zetsu wanted to do something, it was probably only powerless. Shi Shangyang could even arrange it clearly for him, so that Black Zetsu kept spinning in his own conspiracy. In other words, from now on, the entire ninja world has become Shi Shangyang's canvas, and he will be allowed to paint, and there will be no other restrictions. Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang showed a smile on his face, and he felt some pride for a while, because he knew that from now on, no one in the ninja world can stop him, and the changes to the ninja world will also start from now on. Shi Shangyang took a deep look at the battlefield, and then did not stay too much, and left here directly with the Flying Thunder God technique. After he left, about half an hour or so, someone finally came here. 14. The battle between Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Madara was too huge, and it was difficult not to be discovered. Especially, the battle between the two directly changed the terrain within a radius of 100 miles, and made several huge pits in the ground here. It is believed that in the future, these large pits will become lakes one by one. And because of the arrival of the tree world cast by Uchiha Madara and the wooden golem jutsu cast by Shi Shangyang, the soil strength here will definitely rise, because the land here has been plowed again by the aftermath of the battle between the two, and there are residues in the land. The chakra of the two, as well as the wood chips, will further enhance the earth's strength here. If there are no external factors to change this situation, over time, it may become a forest, which will turn from barren to vibrant. This is the change brought by the battle of the ninja world to an area. Looking at the scene in front of him, the people who came were full of astonishment, but it was a pity that Shi Shangyang had already left, otherwise there would have been a good harvest. The ones who came here first were the ninjas from the Konoha side. There were a lot of people, more than 20 people. After seeing this scene, they were all shocked. Coincidentally, one of these people is Uchiha Shisui, because he has opened the 3-tomo Sharingan. Although he is not as good as the Hyuga clan in detection, his insight into details is much better than the blind eye, so this is the case. Came here with the team once. Advertisement. There was a lot of chaotic atmosphere on the ground, there were remnants of chakra, and there were remnants of ninjutsu. Uchiha Shisui felt a familiar feeling from it. He believed in his own feeling, so he frowned and thought. The companion on the side saw his expression and asked, Shisui, did you find anything? Uchiha Shisui returned to his senses, shook his head slightly and said, I'm not sure yet, this should be the trace left by the battle of the two strong men, but the scene was too chaotic, and no useful clues were left. 35. Because it was an exploration mission, there were also people from Hyuga in the team. At this time, a Hyuga ninja said, it was indeed caused by the battle between two strong men. I saw the ninjutsu remnants on the battlefield, and there are traces of fire style and the remnants of wood style. Wood style. Everyone was shocked. It was self-evident what this technique represented, but the traces of wood-style ninjutsu were found here, which is abnormal no matter how you look at it. Hyuga Ninja nodded solemnly, with blue veins bulging around his eyes. He was carefully observing the battlefield in the distance, hoping to discover more. He said solemnly, not only wood-style, but also fire-style, very strong. Fire-style, and traces of water-style, wind-style, and lightning-style. After a slight pause, Hyuga Ninja's eyes narrowed. Wait, there's also traces of magnet-style, there's sand-iron remnants over there. Everyone has been shocked and speechless. It is unimaginable that the battle of two strong men will leave so many traces of ninjutsu, and one of them is very likely to be a blood ninja, but the magnet style is Sand Shinobi. One of the blood gods that he is good at is Sand Shinobi's ninja? If this is the case, it is definitely not good news for Konoha. Hearing a move in Uchiha Shisui's heart here, he finally understood what that familiar feeling was. Shi Shangyang. Uchiha Shisui came up with this name in his heart. That kind of special chakra remnant has the breath of Shi Shangyang chakra, because that is the special yin chakra breath that only after Sharingan reaches a certain level. In other words, the breath of spiritual power, extremely weak, and only someone of his family who is good at Sharingan can detect it. Advertisement. What really terrified Uchiha Shisui was another aura that remained on the chakra, because that was also the unique aura of Sharingan. That is, the one fighting Shi Shangyang is another Uchiha. Uchiha Shisui thought about it, but couldn't figure out who Shi Shangyang was fighting, and who could fight Shi Shangyang to such an extent. Who could that Uchiha be? Is there such a existence in the family? At this moment, the young Uchiha Shisui finally felt the depth of the ninja world. Shisui, did you find anything? The captain asked. Uchiha Shisui shook his head slightly and said, nothing in particular was found. The destruction at the scene was too thorough, and I could only roughly distinguish a few residual traces of ninjutsu. Other than 873. What else? Uchiha Shisui pondered for a while and then said, in addition, I can feel that there are two different chakras in the wood-style ninjutsu left on the scene. The expressions of the people present change. If the wood style discovered by the Hyuga ninja means that there is a master in the ninja world who has a strong wood style blood, then Uchiha Shisui's words clearly tell them that the master wood style is blood. More than one person. The traces of wood style ninjutsu left at the scene obviously came from two people. That is to say, the two people who fought here before actually mastered wood style ninjutsu. This is definitely not good news for them. One master ninja with wood style blood is enough for them to have a headache, and now there are two at once. How does Konoha deal with this? The Konoha shinobi practitioners at the scene are very heavy-hearted. This discovery is very important to Konoha, but it is still a wartime. Any situation to Konoha may occur, and now the two masters are following wood-style blood. In the case of the ninja, it is very likely that Konoha will be passive. Uchiha Shisui finally chose not to say that both sides of the battle were Uchiha. Even though he was still very young, he knew that speaking out about this situation would undoubtedly make Uchiha more vigilant by the village, unwilling to see. Chapter 108 Open Rinnegan. Please subscribe. Konoha and his party entered the battlefield and carefully inspected everywhere, hoping to find clues and information that could confirm the identities of both parties, but unfortunately, the battle between Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Madara was too terrifying, and the movement was so huge that it was difficult to describe, although a lot of chakra residues are left, but nothing else is left. Therefore, it is obviously impossible to determine the identity of the two with this. After all, at the level of Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Madara, the movement of the battle cannot be small. Any ninjutsu has huge power and can cause huge damage. Generally, ninja tools are not used at all, because that thing for the two of them, it was a toy-level thing. And without the ninja tool left, it is even more impossible to determine the identities of the two, and this kind of clue cannot be found at all. Konoha and his party searched for a few minutes in the battlefield, and then the Hyuga ninja's expression changed. No, the people from Rock Shinobi are here. This is the battlefield, not only the battlefield between Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Madara, but also the battlefield between Konoha and Rock Shinobi. When the two made such a big noise, Konoha could find it, and the people from Rock Shinobi could also find it, so if someone came over it's a normal thing. The next thing is very simple. The two sides found each other. The people on the Rock Shinobi side thought that the previous movement here was related to Konoha, and they met Konoha on the battlefield. Naturally, there is nothing to hesitate. Therefore, there was no possibility of dialogue and communication between the two sides at all, and the battle started immediately. Shi Shangyang doesn't know what's going on here. He has now left the country of grass and is heading towards the country of rain. Before the battle at Uchiha Madara, he had already left a message to Uchiha Obito, which informed Uchiha Obito of his plans, and asked him to take Ju to the land of rain to contact Nagato and them. The Kingdom of Rain during this period was still in power by the ninja demigod Hanzo of the Salamander. The entire Kingdom of Rain was under his control and seemed very close. Unfortunately, even though he had the title of a ninja demigod, he still remained in power. The tragedy of the Land of Rain becoming a battlefield cannot be stopped. Advertisement: The Land of Rain is bordered by the Land of Sand, the Land of Fire, and the Land of Earth, which is doomed to the tragedy of the Land of Rain. The geographical location is too special, making the Land of Rain a battleground for the military at the beginning of the war. The country has been reduced to a battlefield, the peaceful life of ordinary people has been broken, the ninjas in the country of Rain can't resist this level of war, and now the whole country of Rain has a feeling that it is about to be destroyed, and I don't know how many of them tragedy happens. And Nagato and the others are the products of this kind of tragedy. Nagato, who owns Rinnegan, the tragedy of his life comes from Uchiha Madara. Now, he has become the pawn of Uchiha Madara's next plan, and Uchiha Obito will come with Uchiha Madara's last wish. Here, get ready to engage with Nagato and them. If the time of the original plot develops, it will not be long before Yahiko's death will happen, which will force Nagato and Konan to turn Shao into a villain organization, but now with Shi Shangyang's participation, this situation is estimated to be highly probable does not appear. After all, Nagato has a talent like Rinnegan. Shi Shangyang will not do things like being forced to become a villain boss. If he wants to change the ninja world, he naturally needs such a talent to do things for him. It's good now, Uchiha Obito can become the villain on the bright side, and he can hide in the dark, a little bit to promote the change of the ninja world. Shi Shangyang roughly planned this, but before that, he had more important things to do. In the Land of Rain, Shi Shangyang was in an underground cave. After resting, he solemnly started preparations for opening Rinnegan. With the experience of opening Eternal Mangekyo, although I don't know if I will experience a situation similar to blindness when I start Rinnegan, it is still necessary to prepare in advance. Shi Shangyang never fights an uncertain battle. In this matter it is even more necessary to be cautious, after all, this is the foundation of his future. After everything was ready, Shi Shangyang used the golden Rinnegan blank card and instantly felt the change in his eyes. Hitomi evolves in strong Yamato. This is the most intuitive feeling. Every improvement of Sharingan is the improvement of pupil power. When Sharingan opens Mangekyo, it is the evolution of pupil power. The same is true for Mangekyo becoming Eternal Mangekyo. Now that Eternal Mangekyo becomes Rinnegan, it is naturally another pupil power evolution. According to Shi Shangyang's information, Rinnegan is basically the pinnacle of pupil art, and there may be improvements like Tomo Rinnegan on top of this, but that's not evolution, but more like an extension of Rinnegan's abilities. Advertisement now, Shi Shangyang is about to have Rinnegan, and he feels that the change in pupil strength is very obvious. It is a change that is more intuitive than the change from Mangekyo to Eternal Mangekyo. Shi Shangyang felt the pain in his eyes, opened his eyes and looked in the mirror, and found that the patterns in his eyes had condensed into a ball, and then outlined a ring-shaped line. The lines gradually became lighter, and the color gradually changed from pitch black to lavender. The whole process did not last long, and in less than 2 minutes, the Eternal Mangekyo transformed into Rinnegan. At this moment, Rinnegan is fully formed. Shi Shangyang caressed his eyes with some curiosity, looked at his own eyes in the mirror and muttered to himself. This is Rinnegan backquote. At this moment, he felt several kinds of Rinnegan's own abilities, just like Sharingan evolved into 1,000 flowers, Qian Jiaohao. Tube. This kind of improvement will bring him some unique abilities, which is the case with Rinnegan now. But to his surprise, these abilities are not Uchiha Madara Sharingan's abilities, and are very different from them. When I thought about Shi Shangyang, I realized that what he got was a blank Rinnegan, just like when Sharingan evolved into Mangekyo, it evolved from his own pupil power, and the appearance of his abilities was also related to his thoughts, so the final ability will naturally not be the same as Uchiha Madara. At this point, the second pillar in the original plot is like this: his Rinnegan is different from Uchiha Madara's, which is very telling, and the Rinnegan ability formed by the difference of the individual will naturally be different. Find a place to familiarize yourself with abilities first. Shi Shangyang made a decision, and his figure disappeared from the underground space. Chapter 109 Recreation and False God, please subscribe. As the saying goes, if you don't forget, there must be an echo. The emergence of Mangekyo or Rinnegan's ability is related to personal thoughts or obsessions. Shi Shangyang does not have such profound thoughts as obsessions, but he still has normal thoughts. According to his thoughts, there are two types of Rinnegan abilities. Compared with Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan abilities, the number is less, but they are extremely powerful. Ability. One ability is called Reproduction and Creation, and the other ability is Toward the False God. Recreation can be understood as an advanced application of yin-yang escape. It is more appropriate to say that it is an ability rather than a technique, because this ability can be used by ordinary ninjas under certain specific circumstances. The name is similar to Ninja Art, Meiotic Regeneration, by Tsunade's master, but it is fundamentally different. Ninja Art. Meiotic Regeneration is an advanced ninjutsu that uses the powerful chakra stored in the past to activate the cells of the body, promote the rapid sorting of cells, and then regenerate all body tissues and organs, or it can be said that the forbidden technique is quite powerful. Recreation is different, because it is an art that can create life, and it is a life creation in the strict sense. Through the division of one's own chakra, a special individual is created, creating a body with yin and injecting vitality with yang, create the soul with chakra, and then there is a real life. It is the kind of life that has thoughts and souls, and is no different from normal people. This is the power of recreation. Shi Shangyang uses this technique to create life through the above steps, and if ordinary ninjas use this technique, they need to split their own soul and chakra, and the life created is very limited. The soul is another manifestation of chakra. If the soul is split, it will definitely affect a person's mind, and if the split is too small, the life created will be a mentally handicapped, only some instincts of life. But if there are too many divisions, the caster will become mentally handicapped, because normal ninjas have not transformed the nature transformation and master of yin dun and yang dun to the level of yin and yang dun mastered by Shi Shangyang. The basics of surgery are almost impossible. It's better to say chakra, the limit is not big, but if the amount of chakra is too small, the life created will basically have no potential at all, and even the lifespan will have a huge impact. It is very likely to create a one-time life, or mental retardation of the kind. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang didn't know what he was thinking when this technique appeared. The appearance of Rinnegan's ability was related to his thoughts at that time, but Shi Shangyang himself was at a loss. Could it be that I was thinking of becoming a god? No, should I? The second ability is a bit exaggerated to the false god. It may not be clear what ability this is from the name, but when Shi Shangyang knows the function of this ability, he can only call it powerful. This is a technique similar to Wangshen than Liangzaka, but stronger than Wangshen than Liangzaka. Yamato is convenient. That's right, it's convenient, because the launch of Wangshen Hirazaka requires opening a time-space channel, that is, a teleportation gate. After stepping into it, you can travel through space, and this open time-space channel is 2 points on the positioning space coordinates, because this step is indispensable. But Shang False God is different. Strictly speaking, Shang False God is an advanced version of the Flying Thunder God technique. Traveling through space and coming to another point in space, it is extremely powerful. If this is the case, this technique is just a little more convenient than the Flying Thunder God technique, which is nothing, but the real power of this technique is that as long as it is the spatial coordinates that Shi Shangyang can understand, he can move yourself over. Is it difficult to understand? In other words, if Otsutsuki Kagaya displayed those few spaces in front of Shi Shangyang, all spaces that were seen or remembered by Shi Shangyang, then in Shi Shangyang's eyes can be classified as accessible. It's easier to understand that way, right? Not only that, if Shi Shangyang, before the appearance of the false god ability, could only remember the spatial coordinates, then after this ability appeared, he would be able to understand the spatial coordinates. In other words, in his eyes, the space is no longer as simple as point-to-point movement. In his eyes, it has become like a road. The process of moving from one end to the other is no longer just to remember 2 points, but to know the degree of how to go from the beginning to the destination. This is the change, or growth, in Shi Shangyang's cognition of time and space brought about by the art of false god. Advertisement in this case, as long as it is a space that he can understand, he can reach it. At the same time, what is even more frightening is that he does not know how to move by himself, or to move with other beings, or to move other beings away, while you don't move yourself. This is a bit like Uchiha Obito's Kamui, which can teleport items to other places. The effect of the two is the same, but the expression of the ability is different. Just like now, as soon as Shi Shangyang's thoughts move, people have already gone beyond the planet. Beneath his feet is the world of ninjas. A huge planet stretches across the void, the blue sea, the land intertwined with yellow and green, and the rolling white clouds, all appear in front of him like a flower scroll. Panning his eyes to the other side, Shi Shangyang saw the moon, the corner of his mouth was slightly raised, and Shi Shangyang reappeared in the land of rain. It was not yet time to contact the Otsutsuki on the moon, so he had no plans to go there. He experimented with Shang False God. This ability only needs to think about it, but he does not plan to experiment here. The effect of this technique will become very exaggerated in his hands. It is a real-life creating technique, and if you want to create life, you must find a good time, otherwise it will not meet his ideas. It is Shi Shangyang's way of forbearance that everything is determined and then acted upon. With 2 more abilities, Shi Shangyang is in a happy mood, although he doesn't have as many abilities as Uchiha Madara Rinnegan, such as 6 Paths Pain, Planetary Devastation, Sealing, etc. Shi Shangyang doesn't even notice it. What, because of these abilities? Nagato too. He is a professional wool stalker, like Nagato, a potential big fat sheep, and it is definitely not justified not to shave a handful of sheep, so this time he came to the land of rain. He had plans in this regard. I just don't know if Nagato at this point in time can reveal these abilities. After all, Nagato is still just a fledgling young man, and he has not experienced the cruelty of the ninja world. It is hard to say whether those abilities have been mastered. But Shi Shangyang is not in a hurry. Nagato can't run anyway. If he can't get it this time, there will be another time. If he can't get it next time, there will be another next time. As long as he can get it, it will be a victory. Chapter 110 The Immature Shao Organization. Please subscribe. At this point in time, the land of rain had already experienced the ravages of war, and at the same time, there was a strong pressure notice from Hanzo of the Salamander. Ordinary people lived in very hardships, not to mention the people's hardships, but it was not far behind. At least what Shi Shangyang saw along the way were mostly villages destroyed by the war, and ordinary people trying to survive. This is the life of ordinary people under the shadow of war, full of all kinds of cruelty. Because it is bordered by 3 major countries, the tragedy of the rain country is doomed, which is why Shi Shangyang did not put his base in the rain country. It is too conspicuous here. The country is full of eyeliners from the other 3 great ninja villages, and it is obviously unrealistic to want to completely hide it here. It is precisely because of this that even if the country of rain has better soil than the country of fields, Shi Shangyang finally chose to go to the country of fields. At least there is stability that the country of rain does not have, and this alone is enough. Much stronger than the kingdom of rain. Of course, Shi Shangyang can completely take over the whole country of rain with his own power, but then he will face the pressure of Sand Shinobi, Rock Shinobi and Konoha. It's nothing to him, but for his people. That said, there is a lot of pressure. In that case, there is definitely no way to develop with peace of mind, so even if he dares to say that he is no longer afraid of any enemy in the ninja world, he still has to be careful to hide. There is no way, this is the reality. Unless he chooses the same path as Uchiha Madara or the Akatsuki organization in the original plot, then the stronger he is, the more confident he will be, but then the ninja world will miss the opportunity for real change. Following the mark left by Uchiha Obito in advance, Shi Shangyang soon came to a small village, which is no different from other places in the land of rain. The only difference is that it was not affected by the war too hard, and survived here. The people who have the most humble peace. However, the living conditions of the people here are very difficult, the supplies are extremely short, the faces of the villagers are yellow and skinny, and the land has been abandoned because of the war. However, people in this village still have basic living security, and it is precisely because of this that these villagers did not leave their homes and went elsewhere to seek life. Shi Shangyang could guess that these living materials must be the handwriting of Shao organization, and he just shook his head slightly when he saw it. In the early days, the concept of Akatsuki's organization was very good, but it was just an unrealistic fantasy under the goodness. Without enough theory as support, and not choosing the road of fighting for peace, the solution to the destruction of the early Akatsuki organization was doomed. After all, this world is the ninja world, and the ninja world never lacks darkness. Shi Shangyang did not show up. After passing the village, he went straight to a valley in the forest outside the village. Following the clues left by Uchiha Obito, he found a cave. Shi Shangyang doesn't need to explain this. Uchiha Obito naturally knows to leave clues for Shi Shangyang. Otherwise, if Shi Shangyang just asks him to find it, he doesn't know how long it will take to find it, and there is some tacit understanding between the two. Advertisement. After coming here, Shi Shangyang felt the breath hidden in it. There were also people hiding outside the cave to monitor the outside world. Obviously, the people of Shao also knew the danger outside. He didn't alert anyone, he went directly into the cave, hid in the dark, and soon found the 3 of Nagato. Yahiko, Nagato, Konan. The 3 of them are the leaders of the Shao organization. Among them, Yahiko is the real decision-maker. He has the standard of the protagonist in both character and personality, but unfortunately, he does not have the fate of the protagonist. In the original plot, he eventually died in a conspiracy. Below, I have to say that this is a very sighing thing. Shi Shangyang has an appreciation for Yahiko, but at this stage Yahiko is just a person with ideals. He knows the cruelty of the ninja world, but he does not realize the cruelty of the ninja world. Just a bloody impulse. At this time, in the cave, a group of people are in distress because of one thing. Because they are running out of food. It can't go on like this. The war outside is not over. If we want to obtain supplies, we must face the 3 great ninja villages. With some accumulation of previous tasks, we can't support it for long, one person said. The people present all wore the black-bottomed red cloud robes representing Xiao's organization, but in Shi Shangyang's feelings, the strongest of these people was Yahiko and the other three, and the average level of the rest was only Chunin's level. As far as Ninja Village is concerned, Akatsuki's organization is very weak. Yahiko frowned in distress. Even with his carefree personality, he felt the pressure at this time. How about, let's find a way to do some missions, he said. For flowers. Zero Nagato was silent. Conan shook his head. No, Hanzo has ordered to shrink the power of the Kingdom of Rain, and now there is no task to do in the Kingdom of Rain. It's so annoying. What should I do? Do you want to cooperate with that guy? Yahiko said again. Nagato said solemnly. Better not, that guy made me feel very bad. I suspect he has other plans. 35. Advertisement. The others nodded in agreement, but there was no better solution. Conan said. This stronghold is no longer safe, and now we need to move, and then we have to find a way to get more supplies. Yahiko, we can no longer distribute the supplies to other people according to the previous method. In that case, we will not be able to. There is no way to hold on for long. Yahiko immediately shook his head. No, if that's the case, why did we create the Xiao organization? Nagato was silent again. Conan opened his mouth, but in the end said nothing. The scene was very quiet, and other people were also very tangled at this time. They joined the Xiao organization with enthusiasm, but if the materials were no longer distributed to others, then the original intention of the Xiao organization could not be realized. Everyone, our dream is to change this Guojia. If we can't even change the people around us, how can we change the country of rain and even the entire ninja world? Yahiko looked solemn and said firmly, the difficulties will not last too long. We will definitely be able to think of a better way. Everyone, please be patient. I will go out and look for opportunities. No matter what, the philosophy of the Xiao organization cannot be changed. 5. I have to say that Yahiko is indeed a very charismatic person. The people who joined Akatsuki's organization are really convinced of him in this respect. If it was another organization, in the face of this situation, it might be too early. It fell apart, but the people of Akatsuki's organization were actually persuaded by a few words from Yahiko. Shi Shangyang, who witnessed all this in the dark, was an eye-opener. It was not easy for the people of the Xiao organization to accomplish this step with a passion. Clap clap. Who? 35. Everyone was shocked and instantly alerted, taking out their weapons and staring at the corner not far away. Shi Shangyang came out from the shadows. This time he put on a disguise and changed to the one codenamed Tien. Hello everyone in the Xiao organization. Shi Shangyang raised his hand to greet him. Chapter 110. The gold card exploded by Nagato, for subscription. Xiao's organization is a startup, but there are still some requirements that a normal organization should have. When others touch the house, they will naturally be very vigilant and nervous, so Shi Shangyang was surrounded by a group at the first time, and all of them looked bad. Stare at the person. Shi Shangyang was wearing a mask, and others couldn't see his expression, but from his posture and attitude, it could be seen that he was not nervous at all. On the contrary, because of his performance, everyone in Xiao's organization was a little nervous. Yahiko took a deep breath, also took out his weapon, stared at Shi Shangyang and said, Who is your excellency, and what are you doing here? Don't be nervous, I have no ill will towards you. Shi Shangyang raised his hand as he spoke, indicating that he did not have any malicious intentions. For a normal ninja, such a move would never be 873, because it represented surrender, and the nature of the ninja determines the nature of the ninja. This is rarely the case in battles, it's life or death, that's all. Sure enough, after seeing Shi Shangyang's actions, the expressions of the people present suddenly calmed down, but they still did not relax their vigilance. Shi Shangyang's actions only showed his attitude, which did not mean that he really did not have malice towards Xiao. Nagato and Conan split behind Yahiko, who also stared at Shi Shangyang warily, but didn't say anything. In front of outsiders, Yahiko has always made up his mind. Shi Shangyang chuckled and said, I came from another place, and I heard that in the Land of Rain, there is an organization determined to change this Guojia, and I was very curious, so I came to see him specially. Then what's your purpose here? Several people did not relax their vigilance because Shi Shangyang said good things about Xiao's organization. I want to invite you to join me in changing the world of ninjas. Hearing this, Yahiko, Nagato, and Conan's expressions immediately changed, and their relaxed faces immediately became serious again, because they had heard similar words from another guy before. What's the matter, don't you believe my sincerity? Shi Shangyang asked. Yahiko said solemnly. Whether you are sincere or not has nothing to do with us, and we will not agree to your invitation. Leave here, we do not welcome you. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang wondered, why? Then he thought of something, and said a little speechlessly. Could it be that before me, other people said this to you? Don't think about it, it must be the guy Uchiha Obito. Shi Shangyang never asked him how to contact the Xiao organization. Now it seems that the guy clearly said what he wanted to say, which undoubtedly made it difficult for him to contact the Xiao organization. No brains, that guy, Shi Shangyang complained in his heart. Yahiko was silent for a while, and then said solemnly, no matter what you say, we will not agree to this kind of thing, so, leave here, I don't want to say it again. 35. It can be seen that he is very resistant to Shi Shangyang, and he doesn't know what Uchiha Obito said to them here, or what he did to them. Maybe they have fought, Otherwise they would not be like this. Contradicted. Shi Shangyang sighed slightly. This was one of the reasons he was worried about Uchiha Obito. Although that guy is now a spy in secret, he has a lot of brains, but considering the fact that things are not comprehensive, he is somewhat passive. But it doesn't matter, this is just a small situation. Okay, but before that, aren't you curious about my identity? After all, I know your identity, but you don't know anything about me, he said. Yahiko's expression changed, but he didn't speak again. Shi Shangyang took a step forward and immediately made the people around him more vigilant. Nagato and Konan behind Yahiko also took a step and blocked Yahiko in front of him. Take it easy, Shi Shangyang said, raised his hand and slowly took off his mask, and then glanced at Nagato, especially Nagato's eyes. Are those eyes the eyes of the legendary sage of six paths? Shi Shangyang asked. Nagato was still a somewhat silent young man at this time, the kind of energetic, not blackened became the pain in the original plot, so he was silent. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly and continued, introduce myself, my name is Shi Shangyang, and I am a rebel, 55. As he spoke, he pointed to his forehead, where there was a Konoha forehead protector that had been scratched. It was only at this time that everyone discovered this, and many people's expressions changed slightly. Advertisement betrayal has a bad reputation in the ninja world. No matter which village the betrayal is, as long as he is a betrayer, and he is the kind who wanders in the ninja world, he will be hunted down by the original village. This is every ninja world. The iron law of a village. Therefore, in this case, many rebellions and forbearances are synonymous with ruthless and villainous people. Shi Shangyang said that his rebellion and forbearance were not a good thing for everyone present. Looking at everyone's appearance, it seems that they are very unfamiliar with this name. Shi Shangyang laughed. Konan's expression moved slightly, and he frowned. Are you the Shi Shangyang on the Konoha and San Shinobi battlefield? Huh? 35 Shi Shangyang's smile remained unchanged, and said, I didn't expect that someone here would know me. Yes, the person you mentioned is me. Confirmed, Konan said solemnly. I heard. You are from Uchiha. Obviously, Shi Shangyang felt the hostility from the people around him increased. Uchiha Obito, that guy. Shi Shangyang decided that the next time he sees Uchiha Obito, he must take care of him first. This is obviously the appearance of the two sides having fought before. If it's Uchiha, it shouldn't count, I just have a Sharingan. He didn't care about the hostility of the people around him, instead he said to Nagato. Having such a pair of eyes, you should be very lonely, these eyes are still too heavy for you now, but it doesn't matter, from now on you will be 3.0. It turns out that you are not the only one in the ninja world with these eyes. The next moment, Shi Shangyang revealed his Rinnegan. As soon as Rinnegan with the purple source pattern appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of everyone in front of Shi Shangyang, especially Nagato opened his mouth slightly and stared at Shi Shangyang's eyes with wide eyes. The next moment, a golden card burst out of Nagato. Nice. Shi Shangyang was overjoyed immediately, and he took this gold card without even thinking about it. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Nagato's perception ability. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card obtained by host. Nagato's perception ability has been increased by 9 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Nagato's perception ability, perfect. Chapter 112 The Philosophy of Shi Shangyang, please subscribe. Nagato's perception, what kind of ability is this? Shi Shangyang was puzzled at first, and then he remembered that Nagato was from the Uzumaki clan. This clan also inherited the sage body of Sage of Six Paths. Innately, chakra is superior to other ninjas of the same level. His accomplishments are even more terrifying. Similarly, because chakra is powerful, the people of this family are born with strong perception, and it can be said that they are born perceptive ninjas. During the 4th Ninja War in the original plot, Nagato, after being reincarnation by Impure World, used this ability to sense that Itachi was about to launch Amaterasu, and helped Itachi sense the location of Yakushi Kabuto. See the power of Nagato's ability. In fact, after the Genin is strong to a certain extent, the perception will not be too bad, but that is the improvement that comes with the growth process, and the Uzumaki family is more like a unique ability similar to the blood. The two are naturally different. Understanding this, Shi Shangyang felt that this ability really deserved the gold level. Nagato's eyes widened, and his shock was beyond words when he saw Rinnegan in Shi Shangyang's eyes. No wonder he was surprised. In fact, from the time he can remember, these eyes have brought him a huge burden, and even affected his fate, making him feel that these eyes are a pair of ominous eyes, but at the same time he also knows that the ability of these eyes is very powerful. In the process of growing up, he had never heard of the second pair of Rinnegans in the ninja world, so he subconsciously thought that his eyes were unique, but now this idea was broken by Shi Shangyang, and the second pair of Rinnegans appeared in front of him. Surprised, isn't it? 99 Shi Shangyang chuckled, then stretched out his hand to Nagato and said, will this make you feel familiar? 35 feet? The next moment, a suction force appeared, and Nagato, who was in surprise, flew towards Shi Shangyang uncontrollably. Nagato. Yahiko was shocked, and instantly threw a shuriken at Shi Shangyang, and his companions around him were the same at this time. Shi Shangyang's actions obviously made them unable to just watch. Some people rushed towards Shi Shangyang, while others threw out kunai and shuriken. In short, at this moment, everyone in the Shao organization launched an attack on Shi Shangyang. Advertisement, but the next moment, a repulsive force appeared out of nowhere, and all those who attacked and rushed towards Shi Shangyang flew backwards, as did Nagato. Fortunately, this force is not strong, it just made the person who rushed towards Shi Shangyang fly back, staggered a few steps after landing, and then stood up. Nagato was supported by Yahiko and Konan, and both of them looked at Shi Shangyang with anger in their eyes. Shi Shangyang is still smiling. Don't be nervous, I just want to tell you that if I really want to do something, I won't be so polite. He felt that since Uchiha Obito had already dealt with them, as a latecomer, he naturally had to let them know how powerful he was. Otherwise, just with a good attitude, there was no way for these people to calm down and listen to him. So Shi Shangyang also chose to show his strength, at least let the people in Shao's organization pay attention to it, right? As for the attraction and repulsion just now, that's Rinnegan's own ability, and it doesn't have a name, because it's an ability that comes after Rinnegan is turned on, and it's more like the instinct of Shui Jishang. At this point, the characters who appeared in the original plot among them, Otsutsuki who own Rinnegan basically have such a hand. Shi Shangyang is not sure if this is Rinnegan's standard ability, anyway, he has it after turning on Rinnegan, and he doesn't know about others. His words did not let the people present relax their vigilance, but at least the people present listened to what Shi Shangyang said, knowing that what Shi Shangyang said was true. Yahiko took a deep breath, stepped forward to block Nagato and Konan, and said solemnly, "What do you want to do?" Shi Shangyang didn't answer this question, then glanced at the scene and the expressions on the faces of the surrounding members of the Shao organization, and said with a chuckle, "It seems that you can't support it for long, so do you need help?" Yahiko frowned and said angrily, "No need, we have the ability to do what we want to do." Shi Shangyang nodded and said with a look of approval, "It's true to say this, but I can see from you that you are too immature and don't understand the cruelty of the ninja world at all. With such a passion, after all, it's just touching. It's only yourself, do you really think that this Guo Jia can be changed by going on like this?" 5. Listening to Shi Shangyang belittling them like this, everyone present was very upset and angry. Yahiko took a deep breath and said, "So you guy, are you here just to laugh at us?" Of course he knew his weakness, but being denied by Shi Shangyang still made him feel unhappy. "Advertisement, of course not, if I really wanted to laugh at you, I wouldn't come here, or what I said before, do you need help? Think carefully before answering me." Shi Shangyang restrained his smile, and his face became serious. Yahiko looked back at the Nagato and Konan members, then stepped in front of Shi Shangyang and stared at Shi Shangyang's face, who was taller than Shi Shangyang at this time because he was older than Shi Shangyang. Looking at Shi Shangyang, who was younger than himself, Yahiko felt a little complicated, because of Shi Shangyang's age, because of Shi Shangyang's ability, and because of Shi Shangyang's belittling of Shao's words, so he said, "What you call help, just come and tell me, is my dream wrong?" Shi Shangyang shook his head. "No, you completely misunderstood what I meant, in fact, I agree with your dreams very much, this ninja world is sick, and the disease is not serious, I have a relationship with you on this point. The same opinion, but the difference is that I think your approach is wrong, which is the main reason why I am here." After speaking, he paused, and then said solemnly, "I just don't want people with passion like you to end up in the cruelty of the ninja world." Hearing what Shi Shangyang said, Yahiko's face became better. "So you guy, also want to change the world?" 33 he asked. Shi Shangyang nodded and said sternly, "My approach is different from yours. I intend to use strength to fight against the world, so as to fundamentally change the world. No change can be easy, only blood and fire can change everything. Base." Yahiko was about to refute, but was interrupted directly by Shi Shangyang. "You can disagree with my ideas, just like I won't agree with yours, but we are not enemies. Now, can you sit down and talk to me?" 35 Shi Shangyang said. "Humph." Yahiko lost his temper after being robbed, but he could see that Shi Shangyang really didn't have any ill will towards them, so he walked back with a sullen face and said at the same time, "Come in." Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled slightly, knowing that the initial contact was no problem. Chapter 113 Obtaining the Vortex Bloodline, subscribe for subscription. The atmosphere at the scene was not as tense as before. Shi Shangyang sat down, and the people from Shao's organization sat down on the other side. Their attitude was not so hostile to him, but they still didn't have much good looks. It's like when you are doing your homework well at home, and suddenly someone comes in and tells you that you wrote this question wrongly. Shi Shangyang didn't care. He didn't ask for a few words to get the Shao organization. It was unrealistic. Anyway, this time he came here, there are still opportunities in the future. Nagato seemed to care about Shi Shangyang's eyes, so when the atmosphere calmed down a little, he asked directly, "Where did your eyes come from?" Shi Shangyang was not surprised that he would ask such a question. Hearing that, he just smiled and said, "If I said that these eyes were born, would you believe me?" Nagato was silent for a moment, then nodded. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang said, "I have Sharingan, you should know a little bit about this kind of thing, then I can tell you now that these eyes evolved from Sharingan." Nagato's expression changed, and he said solemnly, "This is impossible." 35. As soon as he remembers, his eyes are like this, so in his cognition, these eyes are born, but he himself knows that he does not have Uchiha's blood, so Rinnegan evolved from Sharingan. He would never agree with this statement. Shi Shangyang just shrugged slightly, not surprised, but smiled. So, the matter is obvious. The problem is obviously not about me, but you. What do you mean? Yahiko asked hastily. Shi Shangyang said. I can be sure that my eyes evolved a little bit from the Sharingan, during which I went through the Tomo state, the Mangekyo state and the Eternal Mangekyo state, and finally opened the Rinnegan .35. He explained the evolutionary route of the Sharingan, and also informed several people of the evolutionary requirements of the Sharingan. When he learned that the Mangekyo Sharingan evolved into the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and needed the eyes of his close relatives, everyone present had an unbelievable look. But Nagato is not Uchiha. Yahiko said subconsciously. 0. That's why I said, that's where the problem lies. Advertisement Shi Shangyang said with a very determined attitude. His red hair is very famous in the ninja world. If you know your origin, Nagato, you should know that there is a family in the ninja world who has this head. The iconic red-haired one is called the Whirlpool. Is it the Vortex clan of the Vortex country? Conan asked. Shi Shangyang nodded. Yes, it is the Uzumaki clan in the country of Vortex. This clan, like Senju, is born with strong chakra and physical qualities, which is a kind of blood inheritance similar to blood. Speaking of this, Shi Shangyang looked into Nagato's eyes and said, but there will be no Sharingan in the Vortex clan, so the problem is obvious, your eyes are not native. How can that be? Everyone present was in an uproar. Nagato's eyes can be regarded as a symbolic existence in the current Akatsuki organization, and everyone knows that these eyes represent the eyes of immortals, because those are the eyes that Sage of Six Paths once had. But now Shi Shangyang tells everyone that these eyes are not native to Nagato, so the problem is bigger. Not surprisingly, the people present showed a lot of cards. The others in Xiao's organization were all white or blue, while in the Yahiko trio, Yahiko showed a purple card, and Conan's was also purple. Card, only Nagato broke out a golden card. A big fat sheep indeed. As soon as Shi Shangyang thought about it, he collected all these cards. The white and blue cards are mostly item cards and ninjutsu cards, and they are all ordinary ones, so Shi Shangyang has no surprises. Yahiko and Conan are 2 ability cards. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card and 5 attributes Chakra Nature Transformation. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Ninja, Dance of Shiki Paper, close black lens bracket. These 2 ability cards are not very outstanding abilities for the current Shi Shangyang. The 5 types of Chakra's Nature Transformation, which Shi Shangyang has already reached a high level, so this ability card is just icing on the cake. That's it. On the other hand, the ninjutsu-style paper dance is somewhat useful to Shi Shangyang, which can be regarded as expanding the application of his ninjutsu. What surprised Shi Shangyang the most was the gold card that Nagato revealed. Advertisement, drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card, Vortex Bloodline. Close black lens bracket. After gaining this ability, Shi Shangyang's mentality was somewhat odd. Because he already has the Uchiha bloodline, if he adds the Uzumaki bloodline now, then he has 2 bloodlines. What is that? Uchiha and Whirlpool. However, Shi Shangyang doesn't care about this. The blood of the ninja world has no special meaning to him. He regards the blood of the ninja world as an expression of strength. If you add the blood of the Vortex, he is equivalent to having the body of an immortal, plus the Uchiha bloodline, is the collection of the body of a fairy and the eyes of a fairy. It's profitable anyway. Of course, the body of an immortal cannot be obtained so easily. To achieve this step, one must increase the strength of the body. This must at least reach the level of Senju Hashirama. Shi Shangyang has not yet reached to that step. But after possessing the Uzumaki bloodline, it will undoubtedly take a lot of time to achieve this step. Coupled with the Uchiha bloodline, when these 2 bloodlines are developed to a certain extent, Shi Shangyang estimates that he is likely to reach the original Sage of Six bloodline. Degree of paths. This is not a bad thing by any means. Therefore, obtaining the Vortex bloodline was indeed a good harvest for Shi Shangyang at this time. Nothing is impossible. Rinnegan is not an ordinary eye. It is impossible for ordinary people to bear the pressure brought by Rinnegan. These eyes, Qian Zhaohao, are placed on ordinary people. It is estimated that that person will not last long, will die because he can't bear Rinnegan's devouring of his own chakra. If you want to bear this, you must have a strong body and a huge chakra to do it. It just so happens that the Vortex clan can bear it. At this point, things are very clear. Yahiko said directly. So you are saying that someone transplanted these eyes to Nagato when he was a child? Is it because he has the blood of the Vortex family? Shi Shangyang nodded. That's right, there can't be any other explanation, I'm pretty sure of that. Nagato's face is not very good looking, and now he has some belief in Shi Shangyang's words, because as the owner of Rinnegan, he can really feel the burden of these eyes on the body, and he knows that Shi Shangyang is true. It is precisely because of this that he is very uneasy. Chapter 114 Invite Xiao Organization, please subscribe. Who is it? Nagato said with some gritted teeth. Shi Shangyang said what he had prepared and said, as far as I know, the only way to have Rinnegan is to evolve from Sharingan a little bit. This method is very difficult, and it also requires close relatives Mangekyo Sharingan. Lack of it is impossible, so if you can do this, there is only one possibility in the whole ninja world. Uchiha. Conan said the following words for Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang nodded. Yes, it is Uchiha, and only Uchiha can do this. That is to say, the person who transplanted Rinnegan to Nagato must be Uchiha. Of course he knew what was going on, but he still had to tell the story a little bit, otherwise no one would believe it if he told it directly. Yahiko frowned. Damn, why would the people of Uchiha do this? Shi Shangyang chuckled and said, I believe you can understand the preciousness of Rinnegan without me having to say more. Then, when you think about the situation of the ninja world when Nagato was young, it is not difficult to discern the intention of the person behind it. Yahiko didn't know why. Konan was thoughtful, Nagato was silent, and the others were a little dazed. 873 Shi Shangyang said again, if it were me, I would definitely not give such precious eyes to other people, and those who do such things are either too old to support Rinnegan's daily consumption, or don't have any plans. Nagato suddenly raised his head and said solemnly, Rinne Tensai technique. Others don't understand what this is, but Nagato and Konan's expressions have changed. As Nagato's best companions, they more or less know some of Rinnegan's abilities, including this spell that can change life and death. Yahiko seemed to be awakened suddenly, and said, yes, the person who did this must want to use Nagato's body to preserve Rinnegan's freshness, and then seek resurrection, that is, that person dead now? Seeing that they had guessed this point, Shi Shangyang said, actually, I know who is doing this. Who is it? Everyone present was shocked. Shi Shangyang didn't hide it, and said directly, it's Uchiha Madara, 35. That's impossible. 35 Yahiko's face was full of surprise, as were the others, and then the cards fell. Beta. Advertisement. It's a pity that the white cards and blue cards were still dropped this time, and only the 3 of Yahiko showed 3 purple cards. The 3 purple cards are all ninjutsu ability cards. One is the water style A-level ninjutsu water style wave kill that Yahiko is good at, the other is the clone technique, and Nagato's is the basic summoning technique, but Shi Shangyang doesn't have one. Summoning beast, so even if you learn it, you can't use it. Why is it impossible? Shi Shangyang asked back with a smile. Uchiha Madara, the man known as Shira in the ninja world, didn't he die in the battle with Konoha's first Hokage Senju Hashirama? Yahiko said. Why can't it be a fake death to escape? Shi Shangyang asked again. This, unsure of how to answer Yahiko, Konan frowned and asked, how can you be sure it's him? Shi Shangyang shrugged and said, it's very simple, because I fought him before I came here, but now Uchiha Madara is really dead, so it can be counted as killed by me. 35. This time, everyone's face was full of disbelief, and then Shi Shangyang saw a golden card from the cards that burst out from everyone. This card was no accident, and it was burst out by Nagato again. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Planetary Devastation. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card that host received. Planetary Devastation has been increased by 5 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Planetary Devastation, Grandmaster. Shi Shangyang suppressed the joy in his heart, but with a calm expression on his face. Anything can happen in the ninja world, not to mention that Rinnegan is on Nagato, and I already have the prerequisites for having Rinnegan. Having said that, in the entire ninja world, who else can do this except Uchiha Madara? Everyone in Shao's organization could not refute at all, because no matter how they looked at it, what Shi Shangyang said was true. With the prestige of Uchiha Madara, it seems that it is not impossible to obtain Rinnegan. Shi Shangyang added, I don't know if you are aware, but Uchiha Madara has a younger brother named Uchiha Izuna, who also started Mangekyo Sharingan a long time ago, but was killed by Senju during a battle between Uchiha and Senju. Tobirama was seriously injured, and he handed over his Sharingan to Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara's life is not a secret, because he is the Shira of the ninja world, so many of his information are things that ordinary people relish, so it is not difficult to determine this information. Now, everyone has believed 7 points, because what Shi Shangyang said is justified. Everyone should be able to know that Nagato's Rinnegan is Uchiha Madara's conspiracy, so you say, Uchiha Madara will not be ready. Or do you think you are capable of thwarting any of his conspiracies? Shi Shangyang added another sentence. Advertisement. Suddenly, everyone felt a heavy heart, as if the whole body was shrouded in a shadow. Especially Nagato, after confirming that his pair of Rinnegans came from Uchiha Madara, he already knew that some things could not be escaped by himself, and even if he didn't want to, someone would point at him. Damn. 35 Yahiko thumped the ground and said bitterly, no matter what the conspiracy is, I will not let Nagato get hurt. Yes, and Nagato is our companion, and he must not be harmed. That's right, now that we know this, we should get ready sooner. The crowd was also excited, and everyone was cheering for Nagato. Nagato. Konan looked at Nagato with some worry, because Nagato's face was not very good at this time. Don't worry, I'm fine, Nagato said. Then, he looked at Shi Shangyang and said, what do you want to do here? Tell us this, what is the purpose? 35. Shi Shangyang raised the corner of his mouth, glanced at the 3 of them, and then said with a serious face, join my organization and become my companion. I also have the determination to change the ninja world and need your strength. Yahiko wanted to say something, but suddenly stopped, and then said, we don't trust you. This is the truth. Naturally, they cannot easily believe Shi Shangyang. After all, no one knows whether what Shi Shangyang said is true or not. Shi Shangyang had expected this for a long time, and there was no surprise. He stood up and said, are you interested in visiting my place with me? What? Yahiko wondered. I created a village, maybe from there I can show you some of the things you want, Shi Shangyang said. Chapter 115 Treatment of Three Tails, subscription required. Several people looked at each other, not understanding what Shi Shangyang was thinking, but seeing Shi Shangyang like that, it didn't seem like he was going to do anything to them, so they fell silent. Are you still worried about my purpose? Shi Shangyang asked with a smile. Yahiko shook his head slightly, and then said solemnly, these are not important, I want to know, are you so sure that we will agree to your proposal? Shi Shangyang just shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, I don't have any essential conflict with you, the only difference is our understanding of the world. Strictly speaking, it's nothing. Seek common ground while reserving differences, as long as the goals are the same. I think there is no need for the two of us to be hostile, is there? Regarding this topic, although the two sides did not have in-depth exchanges, everyone on the Shao organization side could still feel that Shi Shangyang did not have any hostility towards them. On the contrary, if they could communicate well, the two sides did have good prospects for cooperation. It's a pity that Yahiko and the others are still young and full of enthusiasm. They feel that with their own efforts, they will definitely be able to change the country of Rain, and even the entire ninja world. So Yahiko shook his head and said, sorry, we plan to go out with you, the country of Rain still needs us. Shi Shangyang was not surprised at all when he was rejected. Just as he thought, these young people are very rude, and they obviously won't change their minds until they really suffer. Shi Shangyang was already mentally prepared for this, and he didn't feel disappointed. With a chuckle, he flipped his hand and a special kunai appeared in his hand. Well, I'm sorry about that, this is for you, 35. He told everyone how to use the special kunai, and then said, if you are in danger, or if you want to contact me, you can send chakra into it, and I will rush over as soon as possible. In addition, my organization is called Tien, if in the future when you meet someone from the heavenly organization, don't start a conflict. 39. At this point, Yahiko and the others did not refuse, and nodded after receiving the special kunai. Yahiko said, well, what? Do you have any excess food there? Yahiko was obviously embarrassed when he said this, and Nagato and Konan turned their heads to the side. Shi Shangyang was stunned for a moment, and then burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, interesting, but unfortunately I don't have one. Huh? That's it. 99. Yahiko was visibly disappointed. Just listen to Shi Shangyang's words change. I lied to you. I still have some food, how much do you need? But I have to warn you in advance that if you continue to be like this, you will distribute all the materials you have finally obtained to ordinary people, then you won't last long at all. 5. Then, another card dropped. Apparently Shi Shangyang's words were a big surprise for them. Ahaha, I know. Yahiko scratched his head. Advertisement. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang didn't say anything more. The purpose of coming here today has been achieved. He took a few gold cards from Nagato. It is estimated that it is the limit of this time. Before he gave birth to his ambitions, his control over Rinnegan was not strong, so Shi Shangyang estimated that even if he smashed it again, nothing good would come out. No, what Nagato just revealed was a purple card, and it was the most common ninjutsu ability card. Shi Shangyang shook his head. Forget it, just wait a moment. When the words fell, Shi Shangyang's figure disappeared instantly, without any warning. Yahiko was taken aback, turned to look at Nagato, who shook his head. He looked at Konan again, and Konan shook his head as well. This guy, curious ability, Nagato, is that Rinnegan's ability? He asked. Nagato shook his head again. I don't know. 35, well, it doesn't look like a bad person, you say. What does that guy want to do? Do you really want to change the ninja world? In that case, the ideal is the same as ours, Yahiko said again. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Generally speaking, Yahiko's character is like this, which makes people a little unpredictable. After this time, our stronghold will be replaced, Konan said. Yahiko's face suddenly became bitter, and he said helplessly, do I have to change it? Konan looked at Yahiko blankly, and after a while Yahiko waved his hand. Okay, everyone, get ready to move. 35. Others have become accustomed to Yahiko's appearance, and no one has objected. They have been approached by strangers twice. In fact, Shao organizes everyone to feel quite insecure now. Time passed by. Just when everyone thought that Shi Shangyang had left and would not come back, suddenly dozens of sacks appeared in the open space in front of them, and each sack was filled. Dozens of sacks. The burlap bags are stacked together, and the weight is still very heavy. Ah, it's food. Yahiko cheered and stepped forward to check, and then saw a piece of paper pasted on the grain bags. Hey, it's that guy's message. The words written by Shi Shangyang on the paper are basically to tell them that if there is any difficulty, they can find him and keep in touch at the same time. Shi Shangyang has no plans to come again, because it is not yet the time for him to meet with the Shao organization. Uchiha Obito will follow up with the Shao organization in the future, and continue to act according to the plan left by Uchiha Madara. Shi Shangyang will only need to come and pick up the results. For Flowers Zero advertisement, the current Shao organization is full of passionate young people, who will not listen to the advice of outsiders, let alone switch to other places. Shi Shangyang sees this, and will not waste time on them for the time being. And the follow-up plan does not need Shi Shangyang to worry about, there is enough time. So Shi Shangyang is not in a hurry. At this moment, Shi Shangyang has returned to TNG village. The current TNG village is still small, but changes are taking place every moment, and it has begun to grow slowly. The location of the ninja school is a large construction site. The main building has been completed. It is estimated that it will not be long before the ninja school can be put into use. Here, Shi Shangyang met White Zetsu, who had returned from a mission. This guy is now more and more human-like, disguised as an ordinary person, and is supervising the ninja school. That's how he positioned himself. Shi Shangyang ignored it and asked, "Where's Lin?" "Take a group of children outside to open up Wasteland," White Zetsu said. "Go and inform her and ask her to meet me at the underground base." "Okay, Lord Chief." White Zetsu walked away. Shi Shangyang came to the underground base and waited in a laboratory. It was said to be a laboratory, but it was actually just a large empty room with no furnishings, and it looked empty. Lin came over quickly, a little surprised that Shi Shangyang would look for her at this time, and asked, "Is there something important, Yang-kun?" Shi Shangyang turned around and said seriously, "Is that guy in your body honest now? 35? Lin was startled when she heard the words, and then shook her head. "It has been making noises in my ear." Shi Shangyang nodded with a clear look. "I will solve this matter. Talk to that guy, borrow some chakra from him, and then strengthen the seal on her body. After this time, it should be much quieter." Lin breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "Thank you very much then." Shi Shangyang waved his hand. "Don't thank me, everyone takes what they need. I need to use its chakra to create a life." "Create life?" Lin wondered. "It's hard to explain in detail, so I need your cooperation," Shi Shangyang said. After hearing this, Lin was no longer entangled, took a deep breath and said, "I understand." Chapter 116 Will the Tail Beast Explode? Subscription required. In the laboratory, Shi Shangyang and Nohara Lin sat cross-legged facing each other. "Are you ready?" Shi Shangyang asked. Nohara Rin took a deep breath and nodded firmly. "Okay, don't be nervous, I have everything." When Shi Shangyang finished speaking, he instantly activated Rinnegan, and then in Nohara Rin's sight, everything around him seemed to have disappeared at this moment, and only Shi Shangyang's eyes were left in their place, with her entire line of sight. Rinnegan is an upgrade from Eternal Mangekyo, so Rinnegan has all the abilities that Eternal Mangekyo should have, and at the same time has an improvement in pupil strength, so Shi Shangyang can naturally use Sharingan's pupil technique to invade Nohara Lin's spiritual world among. In Shi Shangyang's line of sight, it is darkness, and at the end of the darkness there is a shimmer of 8 and 90. That shimmer is very weak, and it is the only light source in the darkness. Before, it was quickly occupied by an ocean. This place is like the real world, with ocean and sky, but the sky is dark, with thick clouds above, the surrounding water vapor fills the air, and the waves below are churning and clattering, just like the ebb and flow of tides. There is a small figure on the sea surface, facing the strange environment around him with a trace of fear, but also a trace of curiosity. Shi Shangyang appeared beside the figure, and that figure was none other than Nohara Rin. "How does it feel?" he asked. Nohara Rin was a little dazed, and after hearing the words, she regained her senses and said, "Is this my spiritual world?" Shi Shangyang nodded, and then said, "The spiritual world of normal people is not so dead. Strictly speaking, it should be the spiritual world shared by you and Three Tails. Your spirit is polluted by it, so there will be such a scene. Normally, this place should be full of colorful worlds." Nohara Rin nodded silently. She did not understand this, but with Shi Shangyang by her side, she felt at ease at this moment. "It's time to let that guy out." Advertisement saying that, Shi Shangyang looked down at the water surface under his feet. The water surface was as deep as the sea, showing a faint blue color, as if it was bottomless. No one knew what was hidden under the water surface. However, with the outflow of Shi Shangyang's pupil power, the water surface under the two of them began to churn, and huge waves surged and roared. The movement was huge, but it didn't affect the two of them. The two of them were like phantoms. They let the huge waves swept over, and then penetrated the figures of the two. Everything seemed so strange. Boom! Lightning thundered in the sky, and violent raindrops fell, making it look like it was going through the baptism of a storm. Nohara Lin's body was trembling slightly, and she subconsciously said, "Something is coming out." When the words fell, the surface of the water exploded, and a huge head protruded from the water. It was a huge head with sharp thorns covering its head and chin. Only one left eye was open, and the blood-red eyes were full of cruelty. Angrily, he let out a roaring roar at the two of them. "Damn little devil, dare to stand in front of me, I will tear you apart." The sound was like a beast, and the roar shook the whole world. Nohara Rin saw sweat on her forehead, and subconsciously took a step back, but was pressed by Shi Shangyang's hand on her shoulder. "Calm down, don't be nervous." When the words fell, the huge head below rushed upward, but when it reached the feet of the two, it hit an invisible barrier, and a terrible roar suddenly sounded. Boom! The surface of the water exploded, revealing the huge body of Three Tails Jifu, a body like a giant tortoise, with a wide tail like 3 steel cables, and there are barbs on the back of the tortoise, and the whole looks like a large one. Hedgehog King 8, the length is very twisted. Shi Shangyang can feel the chakra unique to the tailed beast from the Three Tails. It is full of destructiveness, as if it is about to tear everything in the world. The breath alone can overwhelm people. Gas. But Shi Shangyang is not weak. As far as he is concerned, The tailed beast can only be regarded as a pet at most, and the power of the tailed beast is not worth mentioning in front of him. This is a tailed beast, it's really a strange life form. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang opened his eyes wide. This was the first time he saw a tailed beast. To be honest, he was very curious. At this time, he was using Rinnegan's pupil power to analyze the life forms of the three, which was not difficult for him. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that the Sage of Six Paths, which separated 10 tails into 9 tailed beasts, was really powerful and terrifying. It completely changed one life form into 9 life forms. The other party is worthy of the title of immortal in terms of the attainments of yin and yang. The so-called tailed beast is a collection of huge amounts of chakra, a flesh and blood body formed by chakra, but it has the unique energy properties of chakra. There is no concept of death. For them, death is nothing but the regathering of the chakra after the disintegration. As long as the chakra does not die, they are immortal. The tailed beast chakra is essentially different from the ninja chakra. The latter is the agglomeration of physical and spiritual power, while the former is purely transformed from natural energy, which makes the tailed beast even if it dies, chakra will be in nature again. Rebirth. In other words, tailed beasts are more like nature itself. After all, the tailed beast chakra is derived from 10 tails, and 10 tails is transformed from the divine tree. And the ability of the divine tree is to extract natural energy and convert it into chakra fruit. All of this has a transformation path. It is transformed from natural energy. There is nothing wrong with this statement. But what happened in this, how the natural energy became the tailed beast chakra, Shi Shangyang did not understand, because he did not know what role the divine tree played in this, and was very curious at the same time. If there is a chance, in the future, I can get the sacred tree manufacturing technology from those Otsutsuki, and then it is almost time for me to be able to ride the starry sky. 3.0 thought so. Shi Shangyang came back to his senses, patted Nohara Lin on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this guy can't come up, wait for me to communicate with him properly." When the words fell, Shi Shangyang raised his hand and then took a shot. Boom! The entire space vibrated suddenly at this moment, the space seemed to be shattered, and then an invisible big hand descended from the sky, passed through the barrier, and slapped the head of Three Tails Jifu fiercely. Boom! In the midst of the loud noise, Three Tails Jifu's head was suddenly hit hard, and it sank into the water in an instant. The rolling waves also spread around because of their body. The water surface instantly rolled up huge waves dozens of meters high, like general tsunami. Speaking of which, if the tailed beast is frightened, will it explode?